Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
No. Duan Ling Tian's reply caused the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader to be unable to help himself from being stunned, and he frowned. What do you mean? My target is first place in the martial competition. Duan Ling Tian slowly spoke, with a manner as if he wouldn't stop until he shocked everyone. Whoosh. Duan Ling Tian had only just finished speaking when the entire scene went deathly silent. In the next moment, like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. Duan Ling Tian is mad. He's truly mad. A person like him wants to compete for the first? Does he really take the saber young master to be a dead man? He's too arrogant. In my entire lifetime, it's still the first time that I've seen such an arrogant person. Moreover, it isn't just an ordinary level of arrogance. He's simply boundlessly arrogant. For a time, the entire martial competition courtyard was in a complete uproar because of Duan Ling Tian's words. Presently, it wasn't just the disciples of the four sects. Even the elders couldn't help but shake their heads as they felt that Duan Ling Tian was too young and easily arrogant, and that he didn't know his own limitations. Although in their opinion, Duan Ling Tian's ability to defeat a stronger opponent could be considered bizarre. But Duan Ling Tian being able to defeat a 5th-level nascent soul stage martial artist had already caused them to be incomparably shocked. Now, Duan Ling Tian actually still wanted to challenge a 6th-level nascent soul stage martial artist? Arrogant. Too arrogant. Duan Ling Tian was too arrogant. Duan Ling Tian, don't act rashly. Duan Ling Tian. 3rd place in the martial competition is already not bad. 3 years later, in the next martial competition, you'll surely be able to obtain the glory of being the first. Duan Ling Tian. Wait another 3 years, and obtaining the first in the martial competition would be extremely easy for you, without a shred of suspense. 3 voice transmission entered into Duan Ling Tian's ears at almost the exact same instant. Duan Ling Tian was able to discern that these 3 voice transmission were precisely sent into his ears by Linghu Jinhong and the other 2 peak masters. Obviously, Linghu Jinhong's group of 3 didn't think that he was able to obtain first place in the martial competition today. Sect leader, Peak Master Zheng Fan, and Peak Master Ke Zhen. Don't worry, I'm confident. Duan Ling Tian's voice transmission entered into the ears of Linghu Jinhong's group of 3, causing them to be stunned on the spot. At this moment, they could clearly feel the strong confidence contained within Duan Ling Tian's words. But where did Duan Ling Tian get that confidence from? The 3 of them glanced at each other. In the end, they came to a common agreement. They would choose to believe Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian's abrupt rise in the 7-star sword sect was a legend, a miracle. They subconsciously hoped that Duan Ling Tian would be able to create another miracle this time. The person with similar thoughts as them was Zheng Song. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian isn't the type of person who boasts. Since he said he wants to compete for first place, then I presume he's confident. Zheng Song said to himself. The extra prize for the first in the martial competition is the profound nascent pill. If it's really obtained by junior brother Duan Ling Tian, then the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader would probably be angered to the point he spits blood right. When he thought up to here, Zheng Song couldn't refrain from snickering. Duan Ling Tian wants to compete for the first in the martial competition? Huang Ji coldly glanced at Duan Ling Tian, and a wisp of disdain appeared on the corners of his mouth. Let me see you lose face. Huh. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader was shocked by Duan Ling Tian's words in the beginning, and now that he recovered from his shock, he couldn't refrain from bursting into laughter. Duan Ling Tian, looks like you're extremely confident of your strength. However, confidence is a good thing, but if you're overconfident, then it's conceit. Don't worry, sect leader Long. Although I, Duan Ling Tian, am a nobody, I'm still able to differentiate between confidence and conceit. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled with a carefree expression. He didn't pay attention to the questioning of the members of the various sects at all. He knew that even if he were to talk his head off now, it would be of no use. Only facts would be able to make these people shut up and make them stop questioning him. I'm just afraid that those involved are unable to see as clearly as an outsider. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader glanced deeply at Duan Ling Tian, then asked, Who do you intend to challenge? Duan Ling Tian's gaze first descended onto the Snow Moon sect's Lu Yu, then looked at the demonic Lotus Blade sect's Saber Young Master, Long Yun, and he said indifferently, I'll challenge whoever amongst them is strongest. I have no interest in challenging the other person. After he finished speaking, Duan Ling Tian closed his eyes and rested his mind. His intention was extremely clear. Ask Lu Yu and Long Yun to battle first, and whoever wins is who he would challenge. The person that lost didn't have the qualifications for him to issue a challenge to. Arrogant. Duan Ling Tian had only just finished speaking when someone couldn't refrain from scolding. Sect leader Ling Hu. Looks like this disciple of your 7-star sword sect is extremely confident of his strength. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader looked at Ling Hu Jin Hong and spoke with a tone that contained slight ridicule mixed within. I wonder, sect leader Ling Hu, what do you think of the actions of this disciple of your 7-star sword sect? Do you think he really has the strength, or is he intentionally misleading everyone? Ling Hu Jin Hong said indifferently, I believe him. I believe him. A short sentence that was sufficient to display the unconditional trust Ling Hu Jin Hong had towards Duan Ling Tian. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader's face froze when he heard this. He's never expected that Ling Hu Jin Hong would actually be so trusting of a little kid. Duan Ling Tian, I admit your natural talent is extremely strong, but don't even think about defeating me with a cultivation at the 4th level of the nascent soul stage. The Snow Moon sect's Lu Yu said indifferently, and at the same time, she moved as if transforming into a gust of wind and flashed out of the pergola to stand on the vast, even ground. Saber Young Master. Lu Yu's gaze descended onto Long Yun. The two of us will fight first, and the person who wins can properly teach a lesson to Duan Ling Tian, who has an exaggerated opinion of his ability. How about it? At this moment, Lu Yu's expression had become serious. She could look down on Duan Ling Tian, as although Duan Ling Tian's natural talent was strong, he still hadn't fully matured after all, so she wasn't afraid. However, the Saber Young Master, Long Yun, was a formidable enemy of hers. No one has the right to tell me what to do. The Saber Young Master spoke indifferently and was incomparably overbearing. When Lu Yu's expression went grim, Saber Young Master's figure had flashed out to stand in confrontation with Lu Yu. Saber Young Master's hands were crossed before him all the time as he embraced the sheathed spirit saber. Saber Young Master glanced at Lu Yu with a calm expression, then said indifferently, You're not a match for me. I'll surely defeat you within 3 breaths of time. Otherwise, I'll admit defeat. 3 breaths of time? As soon as Saber Young Master finished speaking, it was like a stone that had caused 1,000 ripples. It had successfully attracted the gazes of everyone but Duan Ling Tian. Only Duan Ling Tian still sat within the pergola with his eyes closed as he rested his mind, as if he didn't have the slightest interest towards the battle that was about to begin. You? Lu Yu's face went grim when she heard Saber Young Master. Then she shouted lightly, Saber Young Master, the both of us are at the 6th level of the nascent soul stage. Could it be that you aren't afraid such arrogant words will come back to bite you? At that time, if you're unable to do it, then you'll really become a laughing stock. This is something you don't have to worry about. Since I dared say this, then I naturally have the confidence. Saber Young Master's tone was flat, and from the beginning until the end, he never took Lu Yu seriously. Needless to say, the current Saber Young Master was extremely arrogant. However, in the eyes of the crowd of people in the martial competition courtyard, the arrogance of Saber Young Master was different from Duan Ling Tian's arrogance. The arrogance of Saber Young Master was an arrogance of confidence, and it caused others to be completely convinced. The arrogance of Duan Ling Tian was arrogance from a young age, and was not worthy of mentioning. You and Duan Ling Tian are similarly arrogant. Lu Yu emitted a tender shout, and she flew out as if transformed into a bolt of lightning that flashed towards Saber Young Master. In the sky, the energy of heaven and earth roiled and condensed into 800 ancient mammoth silhouettes that dashed out in tow. Wham! At the same time that she dashed out, a crescent-shaped narrow saber appeared out of thin air in Lu Yu's hand, and origin energy suffused and jumped about on it. Instantly, another 300 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared beside the previous 800 ancient mammoth silhouettes in the sky. Grade 6 Spirit Saber. Many people exclaimed in surprise. Lu Yu, the #1 disciple in the Snow Moon sect's younger generation, possessed an offense comparable to the strength of 1,100 ancient mammoths when relying on a grade 6 Spirit Saber. Swoosh, 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 as she dashed out. The crescent-shaped narrow saber in Lu Yu's hands flashed out, transforming into saber images that covered the sky as it formed a saber net that flickered with frightful cold lights and narrowed down towards Saber Young Master, following him like a shadow. At this moment, this saber net seemed to have transformed into a heaven-encompassing net that wanted to trap the Saber Young Master within it. Thousand Image Saber Technique. Many people recognized the martial skill Lu Yu executed, and they exclaimed in surprise. The Thousand Image Saber Technique was a high-grade, profound rank martial skill of great reputation in the Snow Moon sect. It stressed upon combining the origin energy with the spirit saber to transform into saber images that covered the sky and formed a saber net that was like a heaven-encompassing net, causing the opponent to have nowhere to flee and be directly annihilated. You only have this little ability? Right at the instant when Lu Yu was dashing out and executed the Thousand Image Saber Technique, Long Yun's voice sounded out, and within the calmness of his voice was slight disdain. As if he didn't take the skill Lu Yu executed seriously at all. You only have this little ability? This little ability is sufficient to kill you. Lu Yu was furious out of embarrassment, and she shouted explosively. She attacked with her rage, sending the heaven-encompassing net that the saber images had transformed into the sweep towards Saber Young Master. Is that so? Saber Young Master's calm voice appeared again, and at the same time, he stood on the spot, not moving like a mountain. Clang. The sheathed saber that Saber Young Master embraced before him had instantly unsheathed, and origin energy rages and skyrocketed atop it. Wham! A saber light flashed out, pulling out a string of long and narrow afterimages as it moved to intercept Lu Yu's saber net that was approaching menacingly. Instantly, 1,100 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared out of thin air above Saber Young Master. The Spirit Saber in Saber Young Master's hands is a grade 6 Spirit Saber as well. Many spectators couldn't refrain from exclaiming in surprise. Subsequently, everyone present noticed that when the grade 6 Spirit Saber in Saber Young Master's hands went to intercept the saber net that Lu Yu executed, a slightly strange aura had suddenly appeared on the saber. Right at this instant. Swoosh. The energy of heaven and earth roiled once again, and at the side of the 1,100 ancient mammoth silhouettes above Saber Young Master. Subsequently, at the side of the 1,100 ancient mammoth silhouettes above Saber Young Master, another 80 ancient mammoth silhouettes actually appeared. These 80 ancient mammoth silhouettes were sometimes around 50, sometimes around 60, and sometimes over 70 plus. It seemed to be extremely unstable. In the sky, the energy of heaven and earth roiled, and the tens of ancient mammoth silhouettes that were condensed kept fluctuating in numbers and were extremely unstable. Saber Force Seed. Instantly, some of the elders of the various sects couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Right when most people in the martial competition courtyard were astonished. Saber Force Seed? Duan Ling Tian, who'd always had his eyes closed and was resting his mind, suddenly opened his eyes. With just a glance, Duan Ling Tian noticed that when the grade 6 Spirit Saber in Long Yun's hand flashed out, a strand of strange aura was suffused on it and swept out toward the saber net that Lu Yu executed. The grade 6 Spirit Saber in Long Yun's hand seemed as if it had eyes as it directly flashed towards the side of the saber net, as if it was able to discern the location of Lu Yu's true saber strike. Clang. In the next moment, the sound of iron weapons colliding was incomparably ear-piercing as it sounded out. Two vast origin energies collided with each other, causing the airflow to revolve and shapeless ripples to spread out, as if giving rise to a gale that swept towards the surroundings within the martial competition courtyard. Bang! The strength contained within the saber in Saber Young Master's hand completely crushed the strength contained on Lu Yu's Spirit Saber, devastating Lu Yu, and the Spirit Saber in her hand was directly swept flying. Clang! The sound of a grade 6 spirit sword falling onto the ground was clearly heard. It's really a saber force seed. Duan Ling Tian had a surprised expression as he gazed at the extremely unstable tins of ancient mammoth silhouettes. The strength that Saber Young Master's Saber Force seed gifted him was constantly fluctuating between the strength of 50 to 80 ancient mammoths. Duan Ling Tian was able to discern that this was indeed a seed of force. If he didn't have the high-grade Earth rank movement technique, Whirlwind, that was attached to fourth form of the Nine Dragons War Sovereign technique, the Wind WIRM form, it would be impossible for the Wind Force seed Duan Ling Tian had comprehended to become true Wind Force. According to the Iron Law on Cloud Continent, normally speaking, only a void-prying stage martial artist that had overcame the 6-9 heavenly tribulation was able to comprehend force. The Nine Dragons War Sovereign technique was created by the Rebirth Martial Emperor after experiencing 2 lifetimes, and it had broken this iron law. It allowed Duan Ling Tian to rely on Whirlwind to comprehend Wind Force at the nascent soul stage. Of course, only Duan Ling Tian, who cultivated the Nine Dragons War Sovereign technique, would be able to do this. If he only gave the high-grade Earth rank movement technique, Whirlwind, to other nascent soul stage martial artists to cultivation, it would be impossible for them to comprehend Wind Force. Only because the other nascent soul stage martial artists didn't cultivate the Nine Dragons War Sovereign technique, so they weren't able to utilize the true profundity of Whirlwind. To other nascent soul stage martial artists, Whirlwind was no different to any other Earth rank martial skill. They could only wait until they stepped into the void-prying stage before being able to cultivate Whirlwind and use it to comprehend force. Just like this Saber Young Master, although his Saber Force C can still grow, its limit is to be comparable to the strength of 100 ancient mammoths. At that time, it would be unable to increase any longer, and only when he truly breaks through to the void-prying stage would he be able to transform the Saber Force seed into true Saber Force. Duan Ling Tian understood this. Other martial artists were different from him, after all. He cultivated the supreme cultivation technique, the Nine Dragons War Sovereign technique, that could be called heaven-defying, whereas other martial artists didn't have such resources as him. So it was impossible for other martial artists to comprehend true force at the nascent soul stage. However, this Saber Young Master was able to comprehend and form a Saber Force seed at the 6th level of the nascent soul stage, and his comprehension ability is indeed shocking. When he thought about this, Duan Ling Tian was secretly shocked. When Duan Ling Tian returned to his senses, Saber Young Master had already swiftly and unhesitatingly swept out his leg, kicking Lu Yu, who'd lost her spirit saber, flying, and he was without a shred of intention to be tender to a woman. Perhaps, in his eyes of he who was infatuated with the martial Tao, there wasn't a great difference between men and women. Bang! Lu Yu fiercely collided into the pillar of a pergola. Then her body shook as she successively spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Her face was ghastly pale as she looked at Saber Young Master with eyes that emitted shock. Saber Force seed. This Saber Young Master has actually comprehended a Saber Force seed. A person that was able to comprehend a seed of force at the nascent soul stage was undoubtedly someone with outstanding comprehension ability in the martial Tao. Once such an existence stepped into the void-prying stage, the person would even be capable of comprehending true force in a short amount of time. I've lost. Lu Yu felt a sense of loss. Sect Leader Long, your foster son is really outstanding. He was actually able to comprehend and form a Saber Force seed at the 6th level of the nascent soul stage. His accomplishments in the future are limitless. The Origin Convergence Sect's leader was moved, and he looked at the demonic Lotus Blade Sect's leader with an expression of envy. Saber Young Master's comprehension ability is shocking. He was able to comprehend and form a Saber Force seed at the 6th level of the nascent soul stage, so he'll surely be able to grow the Saber Force seed to the limit before he steps into the void-prying stage. In the future, once Saber Young Master steps into the void-prying stage, he'll surely be able to comprehend elementary sword force within a short amount of time. The Mountain Split Sect's leader had a gaze that contained envy mixed within as he sighed with emotion about the demonic Lotus Blade Sect's leader's luck. Why wasn't he able to take such a foster son in? This Saber Young Master has actually comprehended a Saber Force seed. The Seven-Star Sword Sect's leader, Linghu Jinhong, originally was still rather confident of Duan Ling Tian, but now when he'd witnessed the ability of Saber Young Master, his heart involuntarily rose to his throat. Lu Yu, Saber Young Master has already comprehended a Saber Force seed. It isn't a loss of face for losing at his hands. The Snow Moon Sect's leader gazed at Lu Yu, who was feeling a sense of loss, and she spoke with a chilly voice as she guided. Yes, Master. Lu Yu took a deep breath and nodded, the sense of loss on her face gradually dispersing. Humph. Right at this moment, the Saber Young Master, Long Yun, coldly glanced at Lu Yu, then said indifferently, Lu Yu, in my eyes, your threat to me is far inferior to the threat that Duan Ling Tian poses to me. What I want to tell you is, don't underestimate anyone. No one had expected that Saber Young Master would suddenly say this. He spoke in a manner of praising Duan Ling Tian and belittling Lu Yu. Lu Yu's face sank. Saber Young Master, I'm sincerely convinced of my loss by your hands. But you're now saying that a 4th-level nascent soul stage martial artist is stronger than me. I won't believe this no matter what. Lu Yu's words obtained the acknowledgement of most people. Although Duan Ling Tian's ability was bizarre, and he was even able to defeat an opponent with a strong cultivation using a weaker cultivation. However, Duan Ling Tian was only a 4th-level nascent soul stage martial artist after all, and being able to defeat a 5th-level nascent soul stage martial artist was already shocking. If someone said that Duan Ling Tian was able to cross 2 levels and defeat a 6th-level nascent soul stage martial artist, they wouldn't believe it no matter what. Yun actually looks so highly upon Duan Ling Tian. The demonic Lotus Blade Sect's leader's tiger-shaped brows raised, and he was slightly surprised. According to the understanding he had of his foster son, if it wasn't someone that his foster son took seriously, the person would absolutely not be looked highly upon by his foster son. Duan Ling Tian. The demonic Lotus Blade Sect's leader's gaze unnoticeably descended onto Duan Ling Tian. In next to no time, he'd noticed that from the beginning until the end, this Duan Ling Tian had a carefree expression, as if he would remain unfazed even if MT Tai collapsed before him. Even when his foster son, Long Yun, one of the 5 great young masters that were the most outstanding amongst the younger generation of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, had praised Duan Ling Tian. This Duan Ling Tian seemed to be indifferent to it. Could it be that I've misjudged him? The demonic Lotus Blade Sect's leader thought in his heart. He was able to obtain a conclusion from Duan Ling Tian's current expression. 1. Duan Ling Tian was bluffing. 2. Duan Ling Tian was really disdainful of his foster son's compliment. He hoped that it was the former. Otherwise, this Duan Ling Tian would really be too terrifying, to the point it struck terror in his heart. You don't believe it? Saber Young Master grunted coldly, then swept Lu Yu with an indifferent gaze. Then wipe your eyes clean and look clearly. In next to no time, Saber Young Master's gaze left Lu Yu and lightly swept out to descend onto Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, the victor between me and Lu Yu has been decided. Now, do I, Long Yun, have the qualifications for you to challenge me? Duan Ling Tian didn't reply. Instead, his figure flashed out onto the even ground at the center of the martial competition courtyard to stand in confrontation with Saber Young Master. He used actions to reply to Saber Young Master. Instantly, the gazes of everyone present descended onto Duan Ling Tian in unison. Saber Young Master seems to look extremely highly upon Duan Ling Tian. Could it be that Saber Young Master has perceived something? Saber Young Master is surely looking so highly of Duan Ling Tian because of Duan Ling Tian's natural talent in the martial Dao. I think so too. Saber Young Master's natural talent is indeed inferior to Duan Ling Tian. In another few years, Saber Young Master might really not be a match for Duan Ling Tian. As for now, Duan Ling Tian is far inferior to Saber Young Master. Exactly. Saber Young Master is a 6th-level nascent soul stage martial artist that has comprehended a Saber Force seed. Saber Young Master's Saber Force seed contained the strength of over 50 ancient mammoths. Saber Young Master's strength could be said to be invincible under the 7th level of the nascent soul stage. The disciples of the various sects didn't look favorably upon Duan Ling Tian. When they spoke of Saber Young Master, they all had expressions of reverence on their faces. The Saber Young Master was the idol and model for their generation, an existence that was too far for them to reach. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian. Zheng Song clenched his fists tightly and was slightly worried. Since Saber Young Master utilized his Saber Force seed, Zheng Song's confidence towards Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but waver slightly. Force was something that was too far away for him. Ordinarily speaking, it was an existence that only a void stage expert could come into contact with. Duan Ling Tian, let me see how a 4th level nascent soul stage martial artist like you is able to go against Saber Young Master who has comprehended a Saber Force seed. Huang Ji's took pleasure in the calamity Duan Ling Tian was about to face, as if he'd already seen the scene of Duan Ling Tian being defeated by Saber Young Master. Duan Ling Tian, I hope you can create a miracle again. Flowing lights flickered within Meng Qiu's eyes as he said silently to himself. Presently, Meng Qiu had abandoned any prejudice he had towards Duan Ling Tian, so he naturally hoped that Duan Ling Tian would be able to defeat Saber Young Master and bring glory to the 7-Star Sword sect. He could imagine that if Duan Ling Tian were to obtain victory in the battle with Saber Young Master today, then Duan Ling Tian would surely become a legend of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. A mere 22-year-old 7-Star Sword sect disciple had defeated Saber Young Master, one of the 5 great young masters that were most outstanding within the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's younger generation. This would be such an unbelievable and shocking thing. When he thought up to this point, Meng Qiu had an expression of anticipation as he anticipated Duan Ling Tian being able to create a miracle again. As far as he was concerned, Duan Ling Tian was already bound together with the 7-Star Sword sect now, and they shared their glory together. If Duan Ling Tian were to win, then as a disciple of the 7-Star Sword sect, he would be able to benefit from it as well. Duan Ling Tian. When Saber Young Master, Long Yun, confronted Duan Ling Tian, he had a serious expression, as if he took Duan Ling Tian to be a formidable enemy in his life. After all, even when Long Yun was facing Lu Yu earlier, he'd never been so serious. During the match between him and Lu Yu, from the beginning until the end, he'd never taken Lu Yu seriously. He said he wouldn't take more than 3 breaths of time to defeat Lu Yu, and he didn't exceed the time. Extremely efficient. Saber Young Master, I've heard much about you. Duan Ling Tian lightly nodded to Long Yun with a carefree expression. Even though the Saber Young Master was far famed, he didn't cause Duan Ling Tian to feel any pressure. Within the martial competition courtyard was a wave of deathly silence. The gazes of everyone present descended onto Duan Ling Tian and Saber Young Master, and they stared fixedly at them, deeply afraid they would miss even the slightest detail. Duan Ling Tian, let me see what ability you have exactly that you're actually able to make the Saber Young Master look so highly upon you. And he actually said you're stronger than me. Lu Yu returned to the pergola, and she who had consumed a medicinal pill had recovered her injuries by a great deal. Then her eyes squinted as she stared fixedly at Duan Ling Tian. Duan Ling Tian, I hope you use your full strength when fighting me. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't have the opportunity. Saber Young Master reminded with good intentions. Don't worry. Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled. This Saber Young Master was interesting. Although arrogant, he seemed not to be one of those brainless people. Saber Young Master nodded, and he who had a serious expression chose to make the first move to gain the advantage. Swoosh. Saber Young Master's figure moved out, his entire body seeming to have transformed into an incomparably swift bolt of lightning that flashed straight towards Duan Ling Tian, as if he wanted to suppress Duan Ling Tian before he could even react. In the sky, the energy or heaven and earth roiled before developing into 800 ancient mammoth silhouettes that dashed out behind him in full fury. Sounds of air exploding continuously rose and fell everywhere Saber Young Master passed, and it was incomparably ear-piercing. Whoosh! When Saber Young Master flashed straight at him, Duan Ling Tian felt as if a gust of piercingly cold strong winds had swept towards him. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian's expression became serious. In the next moment, bang! Instantly, origin energy rose explosively on Duan Ling Tian's legs, and 611 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above him. The strength of 611 ancient mammoths. Obviously, now, Duan Ling Tian had exploded out with all the strength within his entire body. But this little strength was far inferior to Saber Young Master. The corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth curled into an evil smile. In the next moment, strands of a strange aura suddenly jumped about within the origin energy on his legs. In the sky, another 200 ancient mammoths appeared beside the existing 611 ancient mammoths. Whirlwind. Duan Ling Tian flashed out, his entire body seeming to have transformed into a gale. The instant the grade 6 spirit saber in Saber Young Master's hand unsheathed, he dodged away from Saber Young Master. In terms of speed, he was even above Saber Young Master. The grade 6 spirit saber in Saber Young Master's hand had just been unsheathed. He wasn't even in time to attack when he noticed Duan Ling Tian vanish before his eyes, and his face instantly went grim. He and Duan Ling Tian brushed past each other and exchanged positions. Then he turned around to continue facing Duan Ling Tian, who'd flashed behind him. Duan Ling Tian, that is. Saber Young Master gazed at the raging origin energy on Duan Ling Tian's legs, and he was able to perceive that it contained strands of strange aura. This aura was extremely familiar to him. Force. Not only that, he was able to perceive that Duan Ling Tian's force was far stronger than his Saber Force seed. When Duan Ling Tian dodged Saber Young Master's attack earlier, he seemed to have utilized the strength of over 800 ancient mammoths. Could it be that he's a 6th-level nascent soul stage martial artist? That's impossible. He's only 22 years old. A 22-year-old 6th-level nascent soul stage martial artist? How could that be possible? The disciples of the various great sects were dumbstruck as they gazed at Duan Ling Tian. The terrifying speed Duan Ling Tian displayed earlier was actually even swifter than Saber Young Master, and it caused their scalps to go numb. Exactly what sort of freak is this Duan Ling Tian? Bang, 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 bang. Right at this moment, a wave of sounds of teacups being crushed sounded out abruptly. The sect leaders of the 5 great sects and their elders had astounded expressions as they looked at Duan Ling Tian, and their hands that held the teacups subconsciously used force and directly crushed the cups. Wind force seed. No, that isn't a wind force seed. That's wind force, genuine force. Drawing upon the energy of heaven and earth to condense 200 ancient mammoth silhouettes is elementary wind force. A nascent soul stage martial artist comprehending elementary wind force? Is that possible? No matter if it's possible or not, what Duan Ling Tian utilized is indeed elementary wind force. Although I'm unwilling to believe it, he's broken convention. The sect leaders and elders of the demonic Lotus Blade sect, Snow Moon sect, Origin Convergence sect, and Mountain Split sect all had astounded expressions as they discussed animatedly. A nascent soul stage martial artist comprehending genuine force had completely exceeded their imaginations. Elementary wind force. Duan Ling Tian has actually comprehended elementary wind force? He seems to only be a 4th-level nascent soul stage martial artist. Within the pergola that the 7-star sword sect's leader and the 2 peak masters sat, Fekta Peak's master, Kujun, had an astonished expression. He was stunned as he felt the strange aura contained within the raging origin energy on Duan Ling Tian's legs. That was wind force, genuine force. It wasn't a force seed. This little fellow really shocks people to death. The Mizar Peak's master Zheng Fan was dazed for a moment before coming back to his senses, and he looked at Duan Ling Tian and shook his head with a bitter smile on his face. Although he'd realized Duan Ling Tian was extraordinary since long ago, he'd never imagined that Duan Ling Tian would be able to comprehend elementary wind force at the 4th level of the nascent soul stage. It had completely broken convention. According to convention, only a martial artist at the void prying stage or above was able to comprehend genuine force. If a nascent soul stage martial artist's comprehension ability was good, although they were able to come into contact with force, that was only a seed of force and not genuine force. Earlier, when Saber Young Master and Lu Yu had battled, It had already caused them to be shocked when Saber Young Master utilized a Saber Force seed. Comprehending a Saber Force seed at the 6th level of the nascent soul stage martial showed that he possessed boundless prospects. Now, Duan Ling Tian instead had directly utilized genuine force. Most importantly, he was only a 4th level nascent soul stage martial artist. Comprehending genuine force at the 4th level of the nascent soul stage. The 7-star sword sect's leader, Linghu Jin Hong, was usually steady, but at this moment his body unnoticeably started trembling and his eyes contained bits of excitement. Duan Ling Tian had truly given him a pleasant surprise. This pleasant surprise was too huge. Huge to the point he felt as if he was dreaming. But everything before his eyes instead told him that he wasn't dreaming and everything was real. The heavens have blessed my 7-star sword sect. The heavens have blessed my 7-star sword sect. Linghu Jin Hong's mood was completely agitated, and it was difficult to calm down even after a long time. Genuine force? The sounds of the 5 great sects' higher-ups entered into the ears of the disciples from the various sects as expected. For a time, swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The gazes of the disciples of the various sects shot at Duan Ling Tian in unison. Duan Ling Tian has comprehended genuine force. Moreover, it's wind force. Wind force is a force of nature and is unlike sword force, saber force, rod force, and similar weapon force. The latter can only be used on offense, whereas the forces of nature are able to be used for offense and used to increase speed, and it can be said to possess both offense and speed. Forces of nature are even more difficult to comprehend than weapon force. Even if Duan Ling Tian only comprehended a wind force seed, it would be more than enough to be shocking. But he directly comprehended genuine force. Although it's only elementary wind force, yet it's comparable to the strength of 200 ancient mammoths. Isn't genuine force something only a void-prying stage martial artist and above are able to comprehend? Duan Ling Tian is only a 4th-level nascent soul stage martial artist. How could he possibly comprehend genuine force? Duan Ling Tian can't be judged by logic. According to me, he's a freak, a super freak. The disciples of the various sects discussed animatedly. The saying that Duan Ling Tian was a super freak had obtained the acknowledgement of most people. Duan Ling Tian naturally heard all of these discussions, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl into a bitter smile. No matter where he went, he was unable to run away from being called a freak. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian. I knew it. You surely won't lose. A brilliant smile hung on Zheng Song's face. He knew clearly in his heart what it meant when Duan Ling Tian utilized elementary wind force. What it meant was that Duan Ling Tian's speed was already on par with Long Yun. Although Saber Young Master had comprehended a Saber Force seed, Saber Force was unable to assist in speed. Now, when Duan Ling Tian utilized his movement technique while relying on his elementary wind force, his speed would firmly surpass Long Yun by a level and could be said to be in an invincible position. Unbelievable. Duan Ling Tian is only at the 4th level of the nascent soul stage, and he's already comprehended wind force. Meng Qiu's eyes shone, and he had a pleasantly surprised expression. Damn it. Unlike Meng Qiu and Zheng Song's thoughts, Huang Ji's expression was as unsightly could be. Duan Ling Tian has actually comprehended genuine force. Moreover, it's the wind force that possesses both offense and speed. How can this be possible? How can this be possible? This utterly does not conform to logic. I'm dreaming. I'm surely dreaming. Huang Ji shook his head, and he stretched his hand out to pinch his thigh. The pain that came from his thigh caused him to be as if struck by lightning. Only now did he realize that he wasn't dreaming and that everything before him was real. Wind force. The Snow Moon sect's Lu Yu stared blankly at Duan Ling Tian and was slightly out of her wits. Earlier, when Long Yun said she was inferior to Duan Ling Tian, she was still unconvinced and felt that it was impossible for a 4th-level nascent soul stage martial artist to compare to her. But now, the wind force that Duan Ling Tian utilized was like a fierce slap on her face. How could it be possible for a 4th-level nascent soul stage martial artist to comprehend genuine force? Lu Yu felt her mind was slightly befuddled, and she ceaselessly shook her head as she was unwilling to believe that all this was true. Oomph. So what if he's comprehended wind force? He's only a 4th level nascent soul stage martial artist, and his speed isn't much swifter than a 6th level nascent soul stage martial artist. Moreover, the strength of this wind force can't be amplified by spirit weapons. In next to no time, Lu Yu, who'd realized this point, shuddered and returned to her senses, and the gaze she shot at Duan Ling Tian contained slight unwillingness. On the even ground at the center of the martial competition courtyard. Elementary wind force. Interesting. A wisp of a smile appeared on Long Yun's face, and origin energy flickered and raged on the grade 6 spirit saber in his hand. In the sky, 1,100 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form and were accumulating strength while waiting to be deployed. The eyes of Saber Young Master closely fixed themselves upon Duan Ling Tian, as if he'd targeted his prey, ready to make a move at any moment. Swoosh. Duan Ling Tian still had a carefree expression. Then his hand trembled, and a narrow sword appeared within his hand, and it was precisely the grade 6 spirit sword Zhang Shou Yong have given him. Along with the origin energy skyrocketing atop the grade 6 spirit sword, 800 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above Duan Ling Tian. This was Duan Ling Tian's strongest strength he was able to display after the strength in his entire body was amplified by the grade 6 spirit sword. When Duan Ling Tian saw Saber Young Master move as if he'd transformed into a gust of wind that blew over, and the grade 6 spirit saber that was enveloped in origin energy had transformed into a saber light that whistled over with a speed that was swift to the limit, Duan Ling Tian moved as well. Like they were reflections of each other, moving at the same time. Origin energy rose explosively on Duan Ling Tian's legs, and the strange aura suffused out once again. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian dangerously dodged Saber Young Master's saber strike that assaulted right at him. The sword in Saber Young Master's hand flashed over like a falling meteor, and a dazzling saber light condensed from origin energy whistled out. After Duan Ling Tian had dodged, its momentum didn't reduce and continued to flash towards an enormous rock that was at a side of the martial competition courtyard. Instantly, hiss, the sword light flashed into the enormous rock as if it was cutting through tofu. In the next moment, the enormous rock shook, then broke into two with a bang and rolled off. After Duan Ling Tian dodged the saber strike of Long Yun that contained the strength of 1,100 ancient mammoths, he abruptly turned around and shot straight towards Long Yun. Whem! Traces of a strange aura jumped about within the origin energy on Duan Ling Tian's spirit sword. Wind force. Instantly, another 200 ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared beside the existing 800-plus ancient mammoth silhouettes. Sword drawing arts. His sword slashed out like a bolt of lightning, and it went straight towards Saber Young Master like a shadow. This slash contained the strength of over 1,000 ancient mammoths. Less than 1,100. After all, Duan Ling Tian's wind force wasn't capable of being amplified by spirit weapons. The grade 6 spirit sword was only able to amplify Duan Ling Tian's basic strength, or in other words, that strength of 611 ancient mammoths. However, Duan Ling Tian's slash was much swifter than the grade 6 spirit saber in Saber Young Master's hand. This was a slash that contained elementary wind force after all. Wind had always been indicative of speed. Coupled with the speed of the sword drawing arts, there was probably no one under the 7th level of the nascent soul stage that could attack faster than Duan Ling Tian. Swift movement technique and swift attacking was Duan Ling Tian's current advantage. Swoosh. Saber Young Master's saber strike hit nothing and his face sank. Then he stepped using a profound movement technique to directly flash towards the distance, not daring to stay a moment. The instant that he moved, Duan Ling Tian hadn't swung out his sword. Swoosh. The sword strike that was quick to the limit in Duan Ling Tian's hand carried along a swift wind force as it flashed out, and the airflow within the sky trembled and emitted light sword howls as the sword stabbed straight towards Saber Young Master. Amongst the people present, only the higher-ups of the 5 great sects were able to see through Duan Ling Tian's sword strike. Not one of the disciples of the 5 great sects were able to clearly see the trajectory of Duan Ling Tian's sword strike. It was too swift. Although they stared in concentration to look at the scene before them, the spectating disciples from the 5 great sects were utterly unable to catch sight of the grade 6 spirit sword that flashed out in Duan Ling Tian's hand. Swish! A clear sound suddenly sounded out. Although Saber Young Master had dodged Duan Ling Tian's extremely swift sword strike in the nick of time, his long tuft of hair was still cut off by Duan Ling Tian's sword, and they fluttered in the air before drifting to the ground. What a swift sword strike! The Mountain Split Sect's leader's eyes lit up, and he said with extreme surprise, Duan Ling Tian, take this. In the scene, after Saber Young Master dodged past Duan Ling Tian's swift sword strike, as if he had foresight, his legs shook before stomping on the ground to turn around. Swoosh! Like a fierce tiger dashing down a mountain, he pounced towards Duan Ling Tian. A strange aura had appeared within the raging origin energy atop the grade 6 spirit sword in his hand. At the same time, another 70-plus ancient mammoth silhouettes appeared beside the existing 1,100 ancient mammoth silhouettes. Saber Force Seed. Whem, 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 whem. The grade 6 spirit saber in Saber Young Master's hand was swift to the limit. Numerous sword lights condensed into form from the raging origin energy atop it, and in the end, they converged together to form a demonic lotus. This demonic lotus was condensed from 99 saber lights. He hadn't even come close to Duan Ling Tian when the demonic lotus had already whistled out, enveloping Duan Ling Tian within it. Minor demonic lotus saber technique. The demonic lotus blade sects guarding saber technique. Demonic Lotus Saber Technique's basic section. It was a saber martial skill at the same level as the minor 7-star sword technique. When faced with the saber martial skill that Saber Young Master executed now, Duan Ling Tian's expression became serious. He could clearly feel that the speed of the grade 6 spirit saber in Long Yun's hand was even swifter, and wasn't the slightest bit inferior to his speed when he utilized the sword drawing arts. Not only that, Duan Ling Tian's acute spiritual force had noticed danger at the first possible moment. Whirlwind. Duan Ling Tian didn't dare hesitate and exploded out with the full strength in his entire body. His legs stomped on the ground as wind force suffused out, and he flashed towards the distance. He wished to dodge past the demonic lotus that was formed from the saber lights that Saber Young Master executed. This demonic lotus was extremely dangerous. But although Duan Ling Tian had temporarily dodged the demonic lotus, it seemed as if it had grown eyes as it tirelessly followed close behind him like a shadow. Now only that, Duan Ling Tian also noticed that the speed of this demonic lotus grew faster by the moment. This can't go on. It wouldn't be long before it would be able to chase up to me with its gradually increasing speed. Duan Ling Tian never expected that Saber Young Master still had such a formidable trump card. This saber martial skill was truly strange and was actually like cancer as it followed him. The demonic lotus saber technique isn't so easy to avoid. In the distant pergola, the demonic lotus blade sect's leader saw this scene, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. At the same time, he looked at the 7-star sword sect's leader, Linghu Jinhong. Sect leader Linghu, your 7-star sword sect's Duan Ling Tian being able to comprehend wind force with a cultivation at the 4th level of the nascent soul stage is shocking. But he's only a 4th level nascent soul stage martial artist after all. I'm afraid he's going to lose at the hands of my foster son today. Sect leader Long, the match isn't over yet. Linghu Jinhong has a calm expression without any fluctuation in mood as he said indifferently. What? Sect leader Linghu. You wouldn't be thinking that Duan Ling Tian has the ability to defeat my demonic lotus blade sect's minor demonic lotus saber technique, right? The demonic lotus blade sect's leader snorted without agreeing nor disagreeing. Then his gaze once again descended onto the battle. With just a glance, the complacent smile that had just appeared on his face completely froze. He saw the speed that Duan Ling Tian dashed with now had increased slightly, and created a fair distance between himself and that demonic lotus. How could this be possible? The demonic lotus blade sect's leader noticed that when Duan Ling Tian suddenly increased his speed, the 811 ancient mammoth silhouettes actually didn't change in the slightest. Instantly, he had an expression of disbelief. How could it be possible that the strength of Duan Ling Tian didn't change? His speed has obviously increased an entire level within a short amount of time. How could the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader know that besides his strength and wind force, Duan Ling Tian was still able to utilize the mysterious quake energy? Presently, Duan Ling Tian utilized the quake energy at its limits on his legs, and it was comparable to another strength of 100 ancient mammoths powering the movement technique he'd utilized. Whirlwind. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian didn't hold back any longer and used all his abilities, and he seemed to have transformed into a gust of wind as he left the area the demonic lotus enveloped. Looks like I still have to utilize quake energy if I want to defeat Saber Young Master. At the same time that Duan Ling Tian increased the distance between him and the demonic lotus, he thought in his heart, and his gaze shot at Saber Young Master. Whirlwind. Instantly, origin energy raged on his legs as streams of air shot out, then wind force and quake energy utilized right after, and his entire body seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning that shot straight towards Saber Young Master. Saber Young Master's face went grim when he saw this scene. He didn't dare dally and hurriedly withdrew the grade 6 spirit saber that was fused within the demonic lotus. At the same time that the grade 6 spirit saber was removed, the demonic lotus dissipated. Sword drawing arts. Duan Ling Tian arrived nearby Saber Young Master in the blink of an eye, and the grade 6 spirit sword in his hand followed right beside him, seeming to have transformed into a venomous serpent that fiercely bit towards Saber Young Master. Swoosh. This time, Saber Young Master once again dodged as if he had foresight, repeating what he'd done earlier. How could this Duan Ling Tian's speed possibly be so swift? At the same time that he dodged, Saber Young Master's expression was extremely unsightly. Duan Ling Tian's speed seemed to have instantly increased a level. The strangest of it all was the ancient mammoth silhouettes above Duan Ling Tian actually didn't change in the slightest. In other words, Duan Ling Tian didn't increase his strength. But since he didn't increase his strength, then why was his speed able to suddenly increase so much? Saber Young Master naturally wouldn't know the profundity of Duan Ling Tian's quake energy. Duan Ling Tian's quake energy at its limit had a scope of effect of the strength of 100 ancient mammoths. If he were to use quake energy on his legs and utilize a movement technique, it was comparable to the strength of 100 ancient mammoths powering the movement technique. Moreover, it wouldn't draw upon the energy of heaven and earth to develop ancient mammoth silhouettes. Still want to dodge a second time? When Duan Ling Tian saw the Saber Young Master once again dodging as if possessing foresight, the corners of Duan Ling Tian's mouth curled into a faintly evil smile, and the grade 6 spirit sword that flashed out in his hand twisted and adjusted the direction. Whirlwind. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian's figure flashed while using all his abilities. The strength of his body, origin energy, wind force, quake energy. Swoosh. Duan Ling Tian's figure was swift like the wind and lightning, and he disappeared in the eyes of the disciples present in practically an instant. So swift, Lu Yu stared blankly at the scene before her. Presently, her cultivation was the strongest amongst the spectating disciples. Amongst the disciples of the various sects that were present here, only she was able to vaguely capture a trace of Duan Ling Tian's figure's trajectory. Only a trace. This Duan Ling Tian's speed is absolutely not only powered by the strength of 800 plus ancient mammoths. Only by using the strength of more than 1,000 ancient mammoths would an ordinary martial artist be able to be so swift. The Snow Moon sect's leader went pale from shock and looked at the scene before her with an expression of disbelief. From where exactly did this freak, called Duan Ling Tian, came from? The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader's expression was extremely unsightly, as traces of a bad premonition had arisen within his heart. In terms of speed, his foster son Long Yun was far inferior to Duan Ling Tian. In terms of strength, although his foster son was slightly in the lead, the speed that Duan Ling Tian attacked instead firmly suppressed his foster son. Most importantly, he'd recalled something that was extremely terrifying. When this Duan Ling Tian fought the personal disciple of the Mountain Split sect's leader earlier, Duan Ling Tian once used a strength that was weaker than the Mountain Split sect disciple by the strength of 77 ancient mammoths to defeat the mountain split sect disciple opponent. He remembered it clearly that Duanling Tian didn't utilize wind force at that time. Otherwise, that personal disciple of the mountain split sect's leader would have no ability to fight back, no matter was it in strength or speed, as he would be completely suppressed by Duanling Tian in all aspects. But even if Duanling Tian didn't utilize wind force, that personal disciple of the mountain split sect's leader was still defeated by him. Without a shred of suspense, Duanling Tian, unlike the shock of the higher-ups of the other four great sects, the faces of the three higher-ups of the seven-star sword sect bloomed with brilliant smiles. Duanling Tian gave them too big of a pleasant surprise. They'd originally intended for Duanling Tian to seize first place in the martial competition 3 years from now and bring honor to the seven-star sword sect. But they'd still underestimated Duanling Tian. With the current abilities that Duanling Tian had displayed now, they didn't have to wait for 3 years. He might even be able to obtain the first today. In the scene of the battle, swoosh, Duanling Tian seemed to have transformed into a gale as he followed Long Yun like a shadow. In terms of speed, Saber Young Master was completely unable to catch up to Duanling Tian. Saber Young Master, let's determine the victor with a single move. As Duanling Tian chased Long Yun, he spoke indifferently. His voice wasn't loud, yet it spread throughout every corner in the martial competition courtyard. Saber Young Master dashed in the front, and Duanling Tian's speed caused him to feel coldness that came from the bottom of his heart. He knew clearly in his heart that Duanling Tian's strength completely dominated his, and Duanling Tian's speed was equivalent to being in an invincible position. Looks like my intuition wasn't wrong. Duanling Tian is extremely strong indeed, Long Yun thought in his heart. Early on, when Duanling Tian defeated the personal disciple of the mountain split sect's leader with a weaker strength than his opponent, Long Yun suddenly had a hint of intuition. Duanling Tian was not simple. It was precisely because of this that he would place Duanling Tian at a similar height as himself, and even said that the Snow Moon sect's Liu Yu, who was a 6th-level nascent soul stage martial artist like him, was inferior to Duanling Tian. Now it would seem that his intuition wasn't wrong in the slightest. All right, Saber Young Master, who was dashing and dodging heart Duanling Tian, and he heaved a sigh of relief. He knew clearly in his heart that if Duanling Tian didn't give him the chance, it would be extremely difficult for him to obtain a chance to utilize the minor demonic lotus saber technique again. Duanling Tian was chasing too closely. He didn't doubt it in the slightest that if he were to turn around, the minor demonic lotus saber technique probably wouldn't even have been exerted completely when the sword in Duanling Tian's sword would have already arrived before him. Swoosh, swoosh. After the two people that seemed to have transformed into bolts of lightning came to an agreement, they firmly stood on the even ground as they stood in confrontation, and the dust and dirt that had suffused into the air due to their extremely swift speed had gradually dropped down and returned to the ground. The flowers and grass that were fluttering within the martial competition courtyard had stopped swaying as well. Determine the victor with a single move. Within the martial competition courtyard, the gazes of everyone descended onto the two figures in confrontation. The outcome of the battle was about to come to light. Duanling Tian, watch out. When Saber Young Master made his move with the spirit saber in his hand, he didn't forget to warn Duanling Tian. Instantly, a total of 99 piercingly cold saber lights covered the sky, then combined to form an incomparably demonic lotus that carried along killing intent and an evil aura as it whistled out, enveloping Duanling Tian within it, as if it wanted to directly mince Duanling Tian to death. Minor demonic lotus saber technique. Saber Young Master had once again utilized his strongest saber skill. This saber strike contained a myriad of changes and was impossible to guard against. Saber Young Master being able to warn Duanling Tian when he made his move was sufficient to show that Saber Young Master was a nice person, and this caused Duanling Tian to have a good impression of him. However, now that he was facing the saber skill that Saber Young Master executed, Duanling Tian's expression still went serious as the minor demonic lotus saber technique that Long Yun executed gave him too much pressure. Although, if he used all his ability, he would be able to dodge it with whirlwind. But he didn't plan to do that. Since he said to determine the victor with a single move, he wouldn't go back on his word. If he went back on his word, then he wasn't Duan Tian. Whoosh. Origin energy revolved around the spirit sword in Duan Tian's hand, and wind force suffused within the origin energy. Suddenly, the origin energy that contained wind force on the spirit sword started to slightly vibrate with a frequency that grew higher and quickly arrived at the limit. Quake energy at the limit. Saber Young Master was the first person today that could make Duan Tian use his full strength. Instantly, 1,043 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form above Duan Tian. Amongst them, Duan Tian's basic strength was comparable to the strength of 611 ancient mammoths, and through the amplification of the spirit sword in his hand, it received an additional strength of 232 ancient mammoths. Elementary wind force was comparable to the strength of 200 ancient mammoths. Duan Tian didn't hold back in the slightest with this sword strike, and it caused Duan Tian to feel the blood in his entire body boil. This feeling seemed to allow him to return to those extraordinarily bloody scenes of his previous life, how surging with emotions his life was. It's been a long time, Duan Tian silently said in his heart. Whoosh. The spirit saber in Saber Young Master's hand flashed, and the demonic lotus formed from it brought along the might of annihilating everything as it swept towards Duan Tian with a speed that increased by the moment. The energy of heaven and earth roiled above Long Yun, and the amount of ancient mammoth silhouettes that were condensed was extremely unstable and fluctuated between 1,150 to 1,180. It was to the extent there was an occasional moment that the saber force seed of Long Yun would temporarily be extinguished and wouldn't provide any strength to Saber Young Master. At that moment, Saber Young Master's strength would be fixed at the strength of 1,100 ancient mammoths. I only have confidence in defeat Saber Young Master in one go at the instant the saber force seed of his temporarily extinguishes. Otherwise, even if I use quake energy at the limit, it would be of no use. Duan Tian's thoughts spun when Duan Tian saw the demonic lotus combined from 99 saber lights that Saber Young Master launched with the spirit saber in his hand had come within reach. Presently, even if he used all his ability, the strength contained in his sword would only be comparable to the strength of 1,043 ancient mammoths. Whereas so long as the saber force seed floated above Long Yun's spirit saber, then even if it fluctuated to an even lower number, it would still at least be comparable to the strength of 50 plus ancient mammoths. When combined with the other strength of 1,100 ancient mammoths that Long Yun possessed, Long Yun's strength would exceed the strength of 1,150 ancient mammoths. In this way, it would have broken away from the highest scope of effect of Duan Tian's quake energy. After all, even if it's exerted to the limit, Duan Tian's quake energy only had a scope of effect within the strength of 100 ancient mammoths. So, if Duan Tian wanted to suppress Saber Young Master by force, then he could only grasp the instant the saber force seed on Saber Young Master's spirit saber extinguished temporarily. A force seed wasn't genuine force. Even the owner of the saber force seed, Saber Young Master, was unable to control the fluctuation of the saber force seed. When he thought up to this point, Duan Tian's brows raised, and his acute spiritual force extended out to fuse into the demonic lotus that came straight at him, and observed the changes of the saber force seed on the demonic lotus. Bang! The demonic lotus descended from the sky, and sounds of air exploding continuous rose and fell as it pressured down on Duan Tian. When Duan Tian saw the demonic lotus within his reach, yet the saber force seed had no intention of temporarily extinguishing, Duan Tian abruptly flashed backwards. Duan Tian's movement brought about a wave of booing within the martial competition courtyard as expected. This Duan Tian proposed to determine the victor with a single move himself, yet he retreated at the critical moment, truly slapping his own face. The disciples of the various sects couldn't refrain from ridiculing. But in the next moment, the ridiculing smiles on their faces froze. The opportunity has come. At the same time that he flashed backwards, Duan Ling Tian's spiritual force was still observing the changes of the saber force seed on the demonic lotus. The instant that he retreated, Duan Ling Tian noticed the saber force seed instantly extinguish. It was right at this moment that he made his move. Whirlwind. Sword drawing arts. Under the gazes of every present, Duan Ling Tian had only just retreated when he suddenly launched an attack, and his entire body seemed to have transformed into a gust of wind as he moved to intercept the demonic lotus that enveloped towards him. Whoosh! His sword was like a bolt of lightning that flashed, and it seemed to have transformed into a fierce beast that brandished its claws and bared its fangs before fiercely biting towards the demonic lotus. When the extinguished saber force seed on the demonic lotus didn't have enough time to rise once again, the grade 6 spirit sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand had already been sent into the demonic lotus, and it shook abruptly. Instantly, the quake energy at the limit poured out. 98 saber lights amongst the 99 saber lights on the demonic lotus were instantly shocked to dispersion, and the only remaining saber light was Saber Young Master's spirit saber. Swoosh! Along with the spirit sword in Duan Ling Tian's hand sweeping out, Saber Young Master's spirit saber fell onto the ground with a clang. Whirlwind. Obtaining success with his attack, Duan Ling Tian seized the opportunity to follow up with another attack, and his body transformed into a gale that flashed directly towards Saber Young Master, who had an expression of disbelief and astonishment. He swung up his grade 6 spirit sword and slapped the body of the sword on Saber Young Master's chest. Bang! Saber Young Master was directly slapped flying. Saber Young Master flew out like an arrow leaving the bow. He repeatedly spat out a few mouthfuls of blood before landing on the ground with a stagger, and he nearly fell down. Although he didn't fall, Saber Young Master's face was still ghastly pale. I've lost. Long Yun took a deep breath, then withdrew a medicinal pill. His origin energy wound within his body as it dissolved the medicinal strength of the pill. After he recovered his injuries slightly, Saber Young Master looked at Duan Ling Tian with a fiery gaze. I'll come look for you again. I'll personally come to the 7-star sword sect once I step into the 7th level of the nascent soul stage and defeat you to wash away the humiliation of today. As soon as he finished speaking, Saber Young Master flew out to pick up his grade 6 spirit saber, then seemed to have transformed into wind as he vanished within the martial competition courtyard. Although Saber Young Master had lost, he wasn't dejected. He spread the word that he would defeat Duan Ling Tian one day and wash away this humiliation. This Saber Young Master is much more agreeable than that Zither Young Master. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised, and a faint smile appeared on the corners of his mouth. Saber Young Master had obtained his respect. When he recalled the scene from before, Duan Ling Tian sighed slightly. If it wasn't for the assistance of his acute spiritual force, it would be difficult for him to grasp the momentary opportunity when the saber force seed extinguished temporarily. If it wasn't for this, it would be impossible for him to defeat Saber Young Master in a head-on battle. Along with the departure of Saber Young Master, the crowd of people in the martial competition courtyard finally recovered from their shock. The first to recover from their shock was the sect leaders and elders of the various sects. The sect leaders and elders of the Snow Moon sect, Origin Convergence sect, and Mountain Split sect had all chosen to keep silent. But their gazes all descended onto Duan Ling Tian in unison, as if they discussed it in advance. Meanwhile, Duan Ling Tian's brows slightly jerked. At the same time, his eardrums shook and he received 3 voice transmissions. Duan Ling Tian, if you're willing to turn to my Snow Moon sect, I similarly can relinquish my position to you and assist you to become the new sect leader of my Snow Moon sect. Duan Ling Tian was able to discern that this was the voice of the Snow Moon sect's leader. Duan Ling Tian, so long as you turn to our Origin Convergence sect, I'm willing to relinquish my position to you and allow you to become the new sect leader of the Origin Convergence sect. Moreover, I'm willing to make the strongest guardian elder of my sect take you as his personal disciple, allowing you to obtain much better growth. This was the voice transmission of the Origin Convergence sect's leader. Duan Ling Tian, turn to my Mountain Split sect. So long it's something that you want, then as long as it's within the ability of my Mountain Split sect, my Mountain Split sect will surely give it to you. including the position of sect leader, including cultivation locations, including. This was the voice of the Mountain Split sect's leader. At the same time, the three great sect's leaders had thrown an olive branch at Duan Ling Tian, and this caused Duan Ling Tian to be astounded. Needless to say, the conditions spoken of by the three sect leaders were extremely tempting, especially what the Mountain Split sect's leader said, satisfying all conditions of his that were within the ability of the Mountain Split sect. This also meant that once he turned to the Mountain Split sect, he would be able to obtain benefits that were difficult to imagine. I'm sorry, sect leaders. Duan Ling Tian sent the same voice transmission into the ears of the three sect leaders, causing them to be stunned and glance at each other, as they never imagined that the others would have the same thoughts as them. Duan Ling Tian. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader recovered from his shock and looked at Duan Ling Tian with an extremely complicated gaze. Duan Ling Tian had actually defeated his foster son Long Yun, the saber young master of the 5 great young masters that were the most outstanding within the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom's younger generations. It was fine if Duan Ling Tian was a 7-star sword sect disciple that was older than Long Yun, but Duan Ling Tian was only 22 years old. Defeating the 26-year-old saber young master, Long Yun, at the age of 22. He didn't doubt it in the slightest that once this news were to spread out, it would surely cause an extremely great stir in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. My target is the first. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader couldn't help but recall what Duan Ling Tian said earlier. At that time, he didn't take what Duan Ling Tian said seriously and only thought Duan Ling Tian was young and arrogant. But now, Duan Ling Tian used facts to prove that he had the strength to seize first place, and he'd really seized first in the martial competition. Duan Ling Tian seized the first in the martial competition? The elders of the 4 great sects were dumbstruck. Duan Ling Tian defeated the 26-year-old saber young master at an age of 22. The battle today is sufficient to make his name to be known far and wide. At the age of only 22, he defeated one of the figures amongst the 5 great young masters that were the most outstanding in the younger generation of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. Duan Ling Tian will surely transcend the 5 great young masters in the future. With his natural talent and ability, another 2 years would be sufficient for him to sweep through all the 5 great young masters. In another few years, he'll only be 25 or 26. Freak. Abnormal. The disciples of the various sects discussed animatedly as soon as they recovered from their shock. They looked at Duan Ling Tian with gazes filled with reverence, and they no longer dared look down on Duan Ling Tian when they spoke. At this moment, they seemed to have already seen the scenes of Duan Ling Tian sweeping through all the 5 great young masters of the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom in a few years from now. This young man that was filled with miracles caused them to be sincerely convinced of his ability. He actually defeated Saber Young Master head-on. The Snow Moon sect's Lu Yu had a dumbstruck expression as she stared blankly at Duan Ling Tian. Now, in her eyes, this young man that she completely looked down on before seemed to have transformed into a towering mountain that was difficult to cross, and it caused a wave of powerlessness to arise from the bottom of her heart. In terms of strength, I'm inferior to Saber Young Master. In terms of judgment, I'm far inferior to him. When she recalled what Saber Young Master had said previously and recalled the disdain and unwillingness she had towards Duan Ling Tian earlier, Lu Yu felt too ashamed to show her face, and she wished for nothing more than to dig a hole and hide within it. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian, nice work. Zheng Song laughed loudly and had an excited expression. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian had succeeded. He'd defeated one of the 5 great young masters, Saber Young Master, and seized first place in the martial competition of the 5 great sects. This junior brother that had repeatedly created miracles all along had once again created a miracle. Duan Ling Tian. Meng Qiu looked at Duan Ling Tian with a gaze that contained slight rejoicing. He suddenly realized that removing the grudge with Duan Ling Tian in a timely manner was such a correct decision. A monster like Duan Ling Tian could only be a friend and not an enemy. No. Impossible. How could this be possible? How could this be possible? Huang Ji's face was deathly pale, and his figure lightly trembled, his eyes filled with a sheen of disbelief. How could Duan Ling Tian possibly defeat Saber Young Master? He's only 22. He's only 22. When he recalled how he only had a cultivation at the 4th level of the Origin Core stage when he was 22, Huang Ji's heart instantly seemed to have fallen into a bottomless chasm. Even if he was any more unwilling to admit it, compared to Duan Ling Tian, he was indeed only dirt. Every day that Duan Ling Tian's within the 7-star sword sect, then it would be another day that I, Huang Ji, am unable to lift my head. No, I'm unwilling to accept this. I'm unwilling. I'm the personal disciple of the 7-star sword sect's leader. I'm the future sect leader of the 7-star sword sect. Huang Ji's heart was ceaselessly warping to the limit. Since the heavens have given birth to me, then why give life to him? This was what was portrayed within Huang Ji's heart at this moment. Ha ha ha. The 7-star sword sect's leader, Linghu Jin Hong, lost his composure and laughed loudly. His sincere laughter came from the bottom of his heart, and he felt exalted upon fulfillment. It was still the first time in these past few years that he was so happy. Ku Jun and Zheng Fan started laughing as well. Their gazes converged onto the young figure that stood in the distance, unmoving like a mountain. It was precisely this young man that obtained the glory of #1 in the martial competition for the 7-star sword sect, Duan Ling Tian. As they gazed at the young man before them, they seemed to be able to see that boundlessly bright future of the 7-star sword sect. With Duan Ling Tian in the 7-star sword sect, why would the 7-star sword sect worry about being unable to be glorious all the way into the future? Moreover, Duan Ling Tian, who had become the center of attention, looked at Linghu Jin Hong and lightly smiled as he nodded, then sent a voice transmission. Sect leader, the jade origin fruit you gave me wasn't wasted. Duan Ling Tian, thank you. Linghu Jin Hong's voice transmission was filled with sincerity. He was sincerely grateful to Duan Ling Tian. Today, Duan Ling Tian had obtained the first in the martial competition, and at the same time that he'd seized the glory for the 7-star sword sect, he'd also declared to the other great sects the unparalleled status of the 7-star sword sect in the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom. The 7-star sword sect will always be the #1 sect. Subsequently, it was time for the host, the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader, to distribute the prizes for the top 3. The prizes for the top 3 in the martial competition were none other than the nascent nurturing pill and a small amount of grade 6 great recovery pills. Although the nascent nurturing pills had an extraordinary value, they were useless for Duan Ling Tian now. The purity of these nascent nurturing pills were too low and were far inferior from the 90% and above purity nascent nurturing pills that he'd refined. The grade 6 great recovery pills aren't bad. Duan Ling Tian checked the 10 grade 6 great recovery pills that were the part of the prize of the first in the martial competition, and he nodded in satisfaction. In the end, he withdrew a medicinal pill that flickered with an azure-colored chi barrier and emitted a strand of profound aura from the spatial ring the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader passed to him. Instantly, profound nascent pill. The disciples of the various sects in the martial competition courtyard stared fixedly at Duan Ling Tian's hand, and their expressions burnt with desire. This is the legendary profound nascent pill. It ought to be. As expected of the medicinal pill of legend, it looks entirely not like an ordinary grade 6 medicinal pill. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader is really unable to complain after he suffered this loss. This profound nascent pill was something he'd originally prepared for his foster son, Saber Young Master, but who knew that Duan Ling Tian would come out of nowhere and seize it. The discussions of the disciples of the various sects entered into the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader's ears, and it caused his body to unnoticeably tremble. But his face still maintained a composed smile. As the host, he couldn't lose his bearing, even if his heart was bleeding. If he knew earlier that this would be the outcome, he would absolutely not put on airs and make the profound nascent pill as the prize for the first in the martial competition. This profound nascent pill was a medicinal pill he'd requested for his foster son. If this Duan Ling Tian were to consume the profound nascent pill, then perhaps he'll directly break through to the 5th level of the nascent soul stage after half a year. The demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader suddenly had a feeling as if he'd done everything for the sake of allowing Duan Ling Tian to reap the benefits. Right when the attention of everyone had descended on the profound nascent pill in Duan Ling Tian's hands. Senior brother Zheng Song. Duan Ling Tian suddenly turned to look at the nearby Zheng Song. His actions startled Zheng Song. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian, what is it? Senior brother Zheng Song. Didn't you say you want this profound nascent pill? Now, I've got it, and I'll gift it to you. Duan Ling Tian passed the profound nascent pill in his hand to Zheng Song with a light smile. As if what he was gifting wasn't the legendary profound nascent pill, but was instead a medicinal pill that was beyond ordinary. Ah, Zheng Song was startled by this and couldn't react for a time. Duan Ling Tian wants to gift away the profound nascent pill. Has he gone mad? This profound nascent pill is able to increase a martial artist's natural talent for half a year. A marvelous medicinal pill capable of allowing the martial artist's cultivation to advance by leaps and bounds, and is something that can be encountered by luck, but not sought after. He actually wants to gift it away? Madman. This Duan Ling Tian is really a madman. With his natural talent, if he were to consume the profound nascent pill, then he'd surely be able to break through to the 5th level of the nascent soul stage. The world of a madman isn't something we can understand. For a time, the disciples of the various sects shook their heads as they sighed with emotion. Duan Ling Tian's current actions were truly inconceivable. The profound nascent pill was a medicinal pill of legend, a pill that had a price but no market, a pill that could be encountered by luck but not sought after. Now, Duan Ling Tian actually wanted to gift it away? Presently, even the higher-ups of the 5 great sects all had dumbstruck expressions. Especially the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader, the corners of his mouth twitched. This Duan Ling Tian wouldn't be intentionally provoking him, right? Junior brother Duan Ling Tian, this profound nascent pill is too valuable, and I can't take it. Although the gaze Zheng Song shot at the profound nascent pill was filled with burning desire, he still shook his head and refused Duan Ling Tian's kindness. As far as he was concerned, the effect this profound nascent pill could display in the hands of Duan Ling Tian was far stronger from the effect it could display in his. If Duan Ling Tian were to consume this profound nascent pill, then he would surely be able to break through to the 5th level of the nascent soul stage within half a year. At that time, Duan Ling Tian's strength would be even stronger. Senior brother Zheng Song, if you don't take it, then I'll toss it away. Duan Ling Tian frowned. To an ordinary martial artist, this profound nascent pill couldn't be considered a treasure, but to him it was no different than lowly grass. When he consumed sufficient 10,000-year stalactite milk that day, his natural talent had already reached the limit. If it's someone with natural talent that had reached the limit, then even if they consumed the profound nascent pill, it would be of no help at all. The profound nascent pill was only of use to a martial artist whose natural talent hadn't reached to limit. Duan Ling Tian, don't be rash. The 3 higher-ups of the 7-star sword sect were anxious, as they felt Duan Ling Tian was recklessly misusing great things. If it wasn't for Duan Ling Tian being a person who'd rendered meritorious service to the 7-star sword sect now and was the future of the 7-star sword sect, they would even have the heart to strangle him to death. That was a profound nascent pill, a medicinal pill that could be called a treasure to a nascent soul stage martial artist. The level of its preciousness wasn't any inferior to a spirit fruit. Duan Ling Tian actually wanted to toss it away. Besides the 7-star sword sect's 3 higher-ups, everyone else wished for nothing more than to strangle Duan Ling Tian to death. Duan Ling Tian is intentionally vexing everyone. He actually said he would toss away the profound nascent pill? That's too vexatious. The disciples of the various sects gnashed their teeth. Meng Qiu within the pergola looked at Zheng Song with an expression of envy. If Zheng Song were to consume the profound nascent pill, then after half a year, Zheng Song's cultivation would be sufficient to surpass him. Right when the attention of everyone had descended on the profound nascent pill in Duan Ling Tian's hand. Senior brother Zheng Song. Duan Ling Tian abruptly shouted out explosively, and it was incomparably sudden. Ah! Zheng Song shuddered when he heard Duan Ling Tian's explosive shout, and he unconsciously opened his mouth in reply. It was right at this instant. Swoosh. Duan Ling Tian raised his hand, and the profound nascent pill transformed into a flowing light that directly shot into Zheng Song's mouth. And the moment Zheng Song closed his mouth, the profound nascent pill's medicinal strength instantly dissolved within his mouth, fusing into his body. Zheng Song was stupefied. He'd eaten the profound nascent pill? All of this was too sudden, and it was slightly unexpected to him. Junior brother Duan Ling Tianyu. Zheng Song had a bitter smile on his face. He never expected that Duan Ling Tian would take action so suddenly and forcefully shoot the profound nascent pill into his mouth. Within the martial competition courtyard, it was completely deathly silent. Duan Ling Tian's actions had startled everyone present. Duan Ling Tian really gifted away the profound nascent pill. This 7-star sword sect disciple's luck is too good, right? How nice would it be if Duan Ling Tian tossed that profound nascent pill into my mouth? Stop dreaming. This 7-star sword sect disciple surely has a good relationship with Duan Ling Tian. Otherwise, Duan Ling Tian wouldn't gift the profound nascent pill to him. Numerous gazes of envy and jealousy descended onto Zheng Song in unison, causing Zheng Song to have a bitter smile on his face and feel slightly uneasy. The 3 higher-ups of the 7-star sword sect frowned, and at practically the exact same instant, their voice transmissions entered Duan Ling Tian's ears. Duan Ling Tian, you're too rash. That profound nascent pill was sufficient to allow you to step into the 5th level of the nascent soul stage in a short amount of time. How could you gift it away? Duan Ling Tian was able to discern that this was the voice of Linghu Jinhong. Duan Ling Tian, what should I say about you? That kid's natural talent is limited. Even if he consumed the profound nascent pill, his improvement wouldn't be as great as you. It's such a waste. This was the voice of the Mizar Peak's master, Zheng Fan, who was also the father of Zheng Song. Duan Ling Tianyu, that was foolish of you. If you consumed that profound nascent pill, it wouldn't be long before you broke through to the 5th level of the nascent soul stage. The 2-year agreement between you and Zither Young Master will arrive in another year. How could you not think for yourself? This was the Fekta Peak's master, Kejun, and his tone contained a mix of a sigh and helplessness. The 3 voice transmissions caused Duan Ling Tian's heart to feel warm. Duan Ling Tian naturally knew the 3 of them were concerned about him, so he hurriedly sent a voice transmission in reply. Sect leader, Peak Masters. All of you only saw the use of the profound nascent pill. But do all of you know that the higher the natural talent of the martial artist, the less the effect of the profound nascent pill? My natural talent, if something all of you have seen, and this profound nascent pill is useless to me. Since it's like this, why shouldn't I help senior brother Zheng Song? Duan Ling Tian's words caused the 3 7-star sword sect higher-up to come to a sudden understanding. This was something they'd never thought of earlier. No matter how small a mosquito is, it's still a piece of meat. Giving the profound nascent pill to that kid is too wasteful, Zheng Fan said via voice transmission with a bitter smile. Peak Master Zheng Fan, is senior brother Zheng Song really your son? Duan Ling Tian was stunned and couldn't refrain from asking. Zheng Fan never expected Duan Ling Tian would suddenly ask such a question, and he was instantly depressed. Right at this moment, Zheng Song, who stood by Duan Ling Tian's side, said with a bitter smile, Junior brother Duan Ling Tian, giving the profound nascent pill to me is too wasteful. Senior brother Zheng Song. Duan Ling Tian's expression became serious as he said in a clear voice, do you know why I seized first place in the martial competition today? Wasn't it for the sect? Zheng Song asked. This is only one of the reasons. Duan Ling Tian looked at Zheng Song and smiled lightly. Earlier, when the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader took out the profound nascent pill and proclaimed that it would be the prize for the first in the martial competition, didn't I ask you if you were interested in the profound nascent pill? Zheng Song nodded as he remembered, of course. Moreover, as far as he was concerned, he was far more than just being interested in the profound nascent pill. Besides Duan Ling Tian, who was like a different species, there was probably no one amongst the disciples of the various sects present here that wouldn't be interested towards the profound nascent pill. Since that moment, I'd already decided that I would surely seize first in the martial competition. Besides competing for the glory for the 7-star sword sect to repay the sect leader for all his help, at the same time, I wanted to obtain the profound nascent pill to gift you, to repay the many times you and Peak Master Zheng Fan have assisted me in the 7-star sword sect. Duan Ling Tian finished speaking in one go. At this moment, when they heard Duan Ling Tian's words, everyone present came to a sudden understanding. So it turned out that everything Duan Ling Tian did was to repay debts of gratitude. For a time, many people has a good impression of Duan Ling Tian, as this was a person that knew how to owe a debt of gratitude and try to repay it. Respectable. Gifting away a profound nascent pill that's of extraordinary value for the sake of repaying a debt of gratitude. Duan Ling Tian's resolution is shocking. A Snow Moon sect disciple couldn't refrain from sighing. His words caused everyone to nod in deep agreement. Presently, Duan Ling Tian had obtained the acknowledgement of most of the people that were present. Zheng Song's figure lightly trembled when he heard this. Then he sighed with a bitter smile on his face. Junior brother Duan Ling Tian, there was no need for you to do this. What I and my father owe you is much more than what you owe us. Today, you giving the profound nascent pill to me has instead caused me to owe you even more. In the distance, Zheng Fan sighed as well. It was exactly as Zheng Song had said. What the two of them owed Duan Ling Tian was really too much, and they were unable to repay it. The martial competition of the 5 great sects came to an end. The 7-star sword sect disciple, Duan Ling Tian, seized the glory of first place in the martial competition. Seizing the glory of first place in the martial competition at the age of 22, Duan Ling Tian has created an unprecedented record. This record is something I'm afraid even the people of the future generations will be unable to break. The Snow Moon sect's leader sighed. His gaze had a sheen of envy and jealousy mixed within as it descended onto Linghu Jinhong. Now, he'd realized that wanting to poach Duan Ling Tian from the 7-star sword sect to the Snow Moon sect was almost impossible. Earlier, what Duan Ling Tian said to Zheng Song has undoubtedly displayed that Duan Ling Tian was a person that knew how to owe a debt of gratitude and try to repay it. A person like this would absolutely not be ungrateful and betray the sect. This was something that the Snow Moon sect's leader firmly believed. Through the reminder to the Snow Moon sect's leader, and the people present reacted. Right, Duan Ling Tian has created a shocking record. Participating in the martial competition of the 5 great sects at the age of 22 and seizing the glory of first. It could be said to be unprecedented and will never be broken. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian noticed that numerous gazes filled with reverence gathered onto him from all around. He'd become the center of attention. The martial competition of the 5 great sects that was held every 3 years came to an end. Sect leader Long, farewell. Including the 7-star sword sect, all the higher-ups of the other 4 great sects bid their farewells to the host, the demonic Lotus Blade sect's leader. Subsequently, the higher-ups and the disciples of the 4 great sects left the martial competition courtyard and left the inner gorge of the demonic Lotus Gorge. Swoosh! After a short moment, an enormous flying beast descended from the air. At the beginning, when Duan Ling Tian heard the ear-piercing howl of the wind in his ears, he thought it was Elder Peng who had arrived. But when he raised his head up, he noticed that the flying beast that descended from the sky now was only a white crane the size of a small hill. The crane was completely snow white, with a pair of eyes that revolved with a bright light. It was obviously a formidable demon beast. Although the speed of the white crane was inferior to the 7-star sword sect's Grand Rock, Elder Peng, it wasn't much slower, and in the blink of an eye, it has descended onto the group before the group of Snow Moon sect members. Sect leaders, farewell. The Snow Moon sect's leader led the sect elders and disciples to ascend the back of the white crane, then cupped his hand to bid farewell to Linghu Jinhong and the other sect leaders. Sect leader Shui, take care. Linghu Jinhong lightly nodded as he smiled slightly. Duan Ling Tian noticed that the Snow Moon sect's Lu Yu who was atop the white crane had a gaze that never left him all along, and this caused him to feel a wave of coldness in his heart as he thought smugly. This woman wouldn't have taken a fancy for me, right? I'm not interested in her. Duan Ling Tian, I'll come look for you to battle once I break through to the 7th level of the nascent soul stage. Suddenly, a voice transmission sounded in Duan Ling Tian's ears. It was Lu Yu's voice. Be my guest. Duan Ling Tian nodded indifferently, and he didn't take what Lu Yu said seriously. Wait for Lu Yu to break through to the 7th level of the nascent soul stage? At that time, he'd probably already have broken through to the 7th level of the nascent soul stage. Relying on his acute spiritual force, Duan Ling Tian would able to sense clearly that Lu Yu had only just recently broken through to the 6th level of the nascent soul stage. With Lu Yu's natural talent, it would at least require spending another year or two to break through to the 7th level of the nascent soul stage. At that time, the distance between him and Lu Yu would only become further and further. It was impossible for Lu Yu to catch up to him. Swoosh. In next to no time, Duan Ling Tian's eyes blurred as he saw a white light flash, and the demon beast white crane had already carried the group of Snow Moon sect members to soar into the sky and conceal itself within the mist and clouds, vanishing before his eyes. Sect leader, could it be that the white crane from before is similar to Elder Pong and is the Snow Moon sect's guardian revered elder? Duan Ling Tian asked Linghu Jinhong curiously. Linghu Jinhong nodded. More or less. However, that isn't an ordinary white crane but a demon beast, Cloudsoar Crane. It's the sect guarding demon beast of the Snow Moon sect. In terms of strength, it's not inferior to Elder Pong. Duan Ling Tian came to a sudden understanding. Swoosh. At this moment, an enormous sound echoed out in the horizon, and a black-colored flowing light flashed through the sky, shooting straight towards the ground. The figure of an enormous black-colored eagle appeared. This enormous eagle was completely pitch black, with feathers that flickered with an inky black sheen. Its sharp claws scored the ground, allowing it to be stable like a mountain, and its pair of incomparably keen eyes flickered with a fierce light. When Duan Ling Tian had just looked at the enormous eagle, he noticed the enormous eagle had noticed his gaze at the first possible moment, and cold lights appeared within its keen eyes as it looked back at him. Instantly, Duan Ling Tian felt a chill run down his spine, and he hurriedly withdrew his gaze, not daring to continue looking the enormous eagle in the eye. After a short moment, the crowd of Mountain Split sect members ascended the back of the enormous eagle under the lead of the Mountain Split sect's leader. Duan Ling Tian, you can come be a guest in my Mountain Split sect if you're free in the future. My Mountain Split sect will surely regard you as an honored guest. The Mountain Split sect's leader looked at Duan Ling Tian, and a brilliant smile bloomed on his face. Of course, Duan Ling Tian could sense that the Mountain Split sect's sect leader's words were from the heart, and without the slightest falsehood. Duan Ling Tian had heartfelt admiration towards the Mountain Split sect's leader's bearing. After all, during the martial competition today, Duan Ling Tian had successively defeated 2 Mountain Split sect disciples, and one of them even had his legs fractured by Duan Ling Tian. Sect leader Linghu, sect leader Lu, farewell. The Mountain Split sect's leader looked at Linghu Jinhong and the Origin Convergence sect's leader. Take care, sect leader Tong. Linghu Jinhong and the Origin Convergence sect's leader replied. Swoosh. The black-colored enormous eagle charged into the sky while carrying the group of Mountain Split sect members, transforming into a black-colored bolt of lightning that merged into the horizon and disappeared. So swift, Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. He noticed that the speed of this enormous eagle was even slightly swifter than the Snow Moon sect's Cloudsoar Crane. That's the Mountain Split sect's sect-guarding demon beast, Lightning Eagle, and its strength isn't inferior to Elder Pong. Linghu Jinhong's voice sounded out in a timely manner, and it contained slight seriousness mixed within. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Duan Ling Tian's thoughts spun and flashed through the memories of the Rebirth Martial Emperor, and he was able to find some records about the Lightning Eagle. The Lightning Eagle was an extremely terrifying demon beast that possessed both offense and speed. Allegedly, some Lightning Eagles with extraordinary talent even had the chance to break through to the void interpretation stage when grown to the limit. Of course, Lightning Eagles like these were extremely rare. Swoosh, swoosh. Right at this moment, 2 ear-piercing howls of the wind sounded out as they whistled down from the horizon, with a speed that was so swift that Duan Ling Tian was unable to catch a glimpse of them. When he raised his head, he hadn't even seen anything when he felt two strong gusts of wind sweeping over, enveloping all the seven-star sword sect and origin convergence sect members present, causing the clothes on their body to flutter in the wind. Bang! Bang! Meanwhile, two enormous figures descended onto the ground successively. The enormous figure that descended the first had descended nearby Duan Ling Tian's group. Elder Peng. Duan Ling Tian's gaze lit up. The enormous figure that appeared before him now was the seven-star sword sect's sect guardian, revered elder, the Grand Rock. Whereas on the side of the origin convergence sect, another enormous figure had descended as well, with a speed that was only slightly slower than Elder Peng. This was an entirely jade-green vulture with a hideous and vicious appearance. Now, he was glaring fixedly at Elder Peng with a gaze that said it refused to concede defeat, and it ceaselessly waved about its vicious and terrifying head, as if it was conveying something. When faced with the vulture's provocation, Elder Peng only glanced at it indifferently, then didn't pay any attention to it, showing a bearing of a great figure. This caused the vulture to be slightly angry from embarrassment, but it seemed to be afraid of Elder Peng and didn't dare flare up. That's the origin convergence sect's sect guarding demon beast, Jade Feather Vulture. Many years ago, it had once been taught a lesson by Elder Peng, so it's always held a grudge. However, so many years have passed, and its strength is still firmly surpassed by Elder Peng. Linghu Jinhong's voice transmission entered into Duan Ling Tian's ears and allowed him to understand. So that's how it is. No wonder the vulture seemed as if it had seen its lifelong enemy when it saw Elder Peng. So there's such a past between them. Let's go. Under the lead of Linghu Jinhong, Duan Ling Tian and the others ascended onto the back of the Grand Rock. Duan Ling Tian followed right at the back, and when he ascended the Grand Rock, he'd noticed that Linghu Jinhong's personal disciple Huang Ji still stood on the spot, without a movement at all. Not only that, Duan Ling Tian also quickly noticed that under the lead of the Origin Convergence sect's leader, the group of Origin Convergence sect members had walked over. What's going on? When Duan Ling Tian was still bewildered, the group of Origin Convergence sect members had gathered with Huang Ji. Sect leader Lu, this is? Meanwhile, Linghu Jinhong and the others had noticed something was off, and Linghu Jinhong frowned as he looked at the Origin Convergence sect's leader. Go on. The Origin Convergence sect's leader didn't reply to Linghu Jinhong, and instead spoke indifferently to the nearby Huang Ji. Linghu Jinhong's frown grew even deeper when he saw this scene. In the next moment, a scene that exceeded Duan Ling Tian's expectations appeared. Thump! Huang Li knelt on the floor towards Linghu Jinhong, then lowered his head and took a deep breath before saying in a low voice, "Master, forgive disciple for being unable to follow by your side in the future. I hope Master can forgive me." Huang Ji's words contained incomparably firm resolution. Duan Ling Tian's pupils constricted. This Huang Ji wants to break off the relationship of the master and disciple with the sect leader and betray the sect? The expressions of Linghu Jinhong and the others from the seven-star sword sect all went grim. Cold lights even appeared within the sharp eyes of the Grand Rock beneath their feet, and a terrifying, imposing manner swept out to envelop Huang Ji as the Grand Rock stared at Huang Ji, suppressing Huang Ji to the point his face flushed red and his body started shivering. Whoosh! Right at this moment, a formidable, imposing manner extended out from the Origin Convergence sect's leader, standing up to the Grand Rock's imposing manner. This allowed Huang Ji's countenance to recover slightly. Huang Ji, Kuzhun, who stood by Linghu Jinhong's side, had an incomparably gloomy expression, and he stared at Huang Ji with a gaze filled with coldness. Did you forget who gave you everything these past few years? Where did your cultivation come from? Now, you actually want to betray the sect leader. Don't you have a conscience? As he finished speaking, Kuzhun's tone contained dense killing intent that was waiting for an opportunity to swallow Huang Ji. Huang Ji's figure trembled but didn't say anything. Peak Master Kuzhun, what you said is wrong. As the saying goes, a fine bird chooses a tree to nestle in. Since Huang Ji doesn't want to continue being by sect leader Linghu's side and doesn't wish to continue staying in the seven-star sword sect, then he naturally has his own thoughts. An origin convergence sect elder looked at Kujun and shook his head. Humph. Kujun snorted coldly and said with a voice that contained dense coldness. It's easy for you to say. Let me ask you, if the personal disciple you fostered yourself wanted to turn to my 7-star sword sect now, what would you do? Could it be that you would be willing to send him to me 7-star sword sect? The origin convergence sect elder was unwilling to admit his argument was inferior and said frankly, so long as he can have a better future in the 7-star sword sect, then I wouldn't stop him. What a good future it is. Finally, Linghu Jinhong spoke. His voice was clear and contained frightful rage mixed within. Huang Ji, have you thought it through? Linghu Jinhong's gaze descended onto Huang Ji, who knelt on the ground, and his calm gaze contained coldness and indifference as he said in a low voice, I'll give you a chance if you really decide to betray me, your master, and betray the 7-star sword sect. Then from today onwards, take it as I've never taken you as my personal disciple. All ties between us will be broken off from today onwards. The atmosphere outside the demonic Lotus Gorge's inner gorge had completely frozen. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, Huang Ji bent his waist and kowtowed on the ground 3 times. After he kowtowed 3 times, Huang Ji looked at Linghu Jinhong and said in a low voice, Sect leader Linghu, take these 3 kowtows as me repaying my debt to you for fostering me for all these years. From today onwards, I, Huang Ji, will have no ties any longer with you in the 7-star sword sect. No ties any longer. Huang Ji's voice caused the atmosphere in the scene to become weird. Duan Ling Tian's looked calmly at Huang Ji with an incomparably icy cold gaze. Huang Ji's betrayal had exceeded his expectations. Although whether Huang Ji betrayed the sect or not didn't have much relationship to him, he still extremely despised Huang Ji's actions. As far as he was concerned, a favor of a drop of water should be repaid with a fountain of water. The favor the 7-star sword sect's leader had given to Huang Ji was higher than the sky and deeper than the seas, yet it was abandoned by Huang Ji with a few words. This Huang Ji was simply an ungrateful bastard. As soon as Huang Ji finished speaking, besides Linghu Jinhong, who temporarily didn't make clear his attitude towards it, the others from the 7-star sword sect all wore grim expressions. Meng Xiao and Zheng Song looked at Huang Ji with gazes filled with disgust. They were at the 7-star sword sect for much longer than Duan Ling Tian, and they naturally knew how caring the sect leader usually was towards this personal disciple of his. Now, Huang Ji instead wanted to betray the sect leader and betray the 7-star sword sect. The sect leader fostered you to obtain your current accomplishments. The 7-star sword sect fostered you to obtain your current accomplishments. This is how you repay the sect leader and the 7-star sword sect. Zheng Fan's face was extremely gloomy as he looked at Huang Ji with eyes that flickered with frightful rage. Within his rage, a trace of killing intent was suffused within. Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. It wasn't the first day that he'd known the Mizar Peak's master, Zheng Fan, but it was still the first time he'd seen Zheng Fan enraged. Rage that could set a prairie ablaze. All you have was given to you by the sect leader and the 7-star sword sect. You can betray the sect leader and the 7-star sword sect. But the origin energy on Kujun's body raged and roared, and his clothes fluttered. In the sky, 2 enormous silhouettes gradually condensed into form and accumulated strength while waiting to be deployed. 2 ancient horned dragon silhouettes. The symbol of a first-level void initiation stage cultivation. But don't even think of taking away this cultivation of yours that is from the sect leader and the 7-star sword sect. Kujun shouted explosively. Instantly, the aura of a void initiation stage expert raged in the sky, causing others to feel a chill run down their spine. Suddenly, Kujun took a step forward and his terrifying, imposing manner swept out. Coupled with the imposing manner of Elder Pong, it shattered the origin convergence sect leader's imposing manner in one go, then enveloped on a Huang Ji, causing Huang Ji's face to instantly become ghastly pale and forcefully causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. Master, save me. Duan Ling Tian noticed that when Huang Ji looked at the origin convergence sect's leader to a cry for help, he actually addressed the origin convergence sect's leader as master. Obviously, he'd come to an agreement with the Origin Convergence sect's leader long ago, and had the intention to turn to the Origin Convergence sect. Humph. An Origin Convergence elder snorted coldly, then took a step forward and combined his imposing manner with the Origin Convergence sect's leader to block out Elder Peng and Kujan's imposing manner. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Elder. Huang Ji hurriedly thanked the two, and at the same time, he went to stand behind the Origin Convergence sect's leader to seek protection, as he was extremely afraid that the Seven-Star Sword sect higher-ups would make a move against him. Very good, very good. Finally, Linghu Jinhong made a reaction. He glanced indifferently at Huang Ji, as he spoke with an unfeeling tone. Then, he looked at the Grand Rock beneath him. Elder Peng, let's go. The Grand Rock was stunned. He was obviously puzzled towards Linghu Jinhong's reaction. Sect leader Zheng Fan and Kuzhun looked at Linghu Jinhong with a puzzled expression as well. Sect leader, if it wasn't for your vigorous fostering, how could Huang Ji possess such a cultivation? According to me, he can turn to the Origin Convergence sect and betray you and the sect, but his cultivation must be left behind. Kuzhun gnashed his teeth. That year, when Linghu Jinhong wasn't the sect leader yet, and he wasn't the Fecta Peak's master. At that time, he'd formed a deep friendship with Linghu Jinhong. Today, when he saw Linghu Jinhong's personal disciple doing such a treacherous and outrageous thing, he felt it as if it was his own disciple and was enraged to the limit. Forget it. Just take it as I was blind. Linghu Jinhong shook his head, seeming to be not willing to mention this matter anymore. Then he looked at the Grand Rock. Elder Peng, let's go? From today onwards, I, Linghu Jinhong, will take it as if I've never taken this disciple. The Grand Rock nodded, and he opened his wings in preparation to soar up into the sky. Although Linghu Jinhong's voice was calm, Duan Ling Tian was still able to notice traces of misery and rage within this calmness. Just think about it. The personal disciple he'd fostered with his own two hands, his only personal disciple, had betrayed him just like this. Such a blow was something that no one was able to accept. The sect leader's ability to maintain his composure is admirable. Duan Ling Tian sighed in his heart. He asked himself, if it was him who was standing in the place of Linghu Jinhong today, he wouldn't hesitate in the slightest and kill Huang Ji. An ungrateful bastard deserves death. Whoosh. The Grand Rock's wings that were like clouds that covered the sky opened up and the dust and dirt on the ground suffused into the air. Right at the instant the Grand Rock soared into the sky, Duan Ling Tian glanced indifferently at Huang Ji, and then his gaze descended onto the Origin Convergence sect's leader and said with a clear voice, Sect Leader Lu, I feel there's a need for me to remind you. When someone can betray once, they can betray again. Duan Ling Tian's word had just finished entering the ears of everyone present when the Grand Rock had transformed into a flowing light that soared into the sky, then flew into the clouds and mist, disappearing before the sight of everyone. Duan Ling Tian. Damn it! Huang Ji's face was livid, as he never expected that Duan Ling Tian would strike him with such a blow before leaving. At this moment, he couldn't help but notice that the Origin Convergence sect's elders and disciples all looked at him with strange gazes. Huang Ji was in panic, and he looked at the Origin Convergence sect's leader as he said in remedy, Master, I swear, I won't betray the Origin Convergence sect for my entire life. The Origin Convergence sect's leader glanced indifferently at Huang Ji. Huang Ji, not to mention, I don't believe these empty words. Even you yourself probably wouldn't believe it. Today, if it wasn't for me saying I would take you as my personal disciple and make you the next sect leader of the Origin Convergence sect, would you betray Linghu Jinhong and the Seven-Star Sword sect and turn to my Origin Convergence sect? Huang Ji laughed embarrassedly. Exactly. The reason he'd chosen to betray the sect was precisely because the sect leader of the Origin Convergence sect had made these promises at the martial competition courtyard earlier. At that time, when he saw Duan Ling Tian abruptly rising mightily, and his master even stating that he would make Duan Ling Tian the next sect leader of the Seven-Star Sword sect. He was not resigned to that fate in his heart, and the promises of the Origin Convergence sect's leader allowed him to see the bright light of the future. Linghu Jinhong, it's you who forced me. One day, I'll let you know that I'm not inferior to that Duan Ling Tian. Huang Ji's eyes emitted traces of viciousness as he gazed in the direction where the Grand Rock had disappeared. Half a month later, Duan Ling Tian stood atop the Grand Rock's back and was able to see the outline of the 7 great sword peaks of the 7-star sword sect from far away. "We're back." Zheng Song stood by Duan Ling Tian's side, and he was slightly excited as he looked at the direction of the 7 great sword peaks. To Zheng Song, the 7-star sword sect was his home, a home that was difficult to part with. "Right, we're back." Duan Ling Tian lightly smiled as he nodded. All along the way here, the atmosphere was slightly heavy and it caused Duan Ling Tian to have an extremely oppressive feeling, and all this was because of Huang Ji's betrayal. When he saw they were about to enter the territory of the 7-star sword sect, Duan Ling Tian suddenly lowered his head to look at the Grand Rock beneath him, then said something via voice transmission. The Grand Rock nodded. Of course, besides Duan Ling Tian, no one else noticed this scene. Whoosh! Suddenly, the Grand Rock that carried Duan Ling Tian's group abruptly changed course and didn't head up Dubhe Peak, but instead plunged downwards, flashing towards the foot of Dubhe Peak. Elder Peng. The Grand Rock's actions caused Linghu Jinhong, who hadn't spoke all along, to be shocked. Zheng Fan and Ku Zhen acted as if they were facing a great enemy and thought that the Grand Rock had noticed something. Meng Qiu and Zheng Song's expression had become serious as well. "What are all of you doing?" "I just asked Elder Peng to take me to see a friend." Duan Ling Tian was completely speechless when he saw this. Aren't their reactions a bit too big? Duan Ling Tian's words caused them to heave a sigh of relief, and Ku Zhen said with a bitter smile, "Duan Ling Tian, who is so prestigious to make you come see him as soon as you returned?" Linghu Jinhong and the others looked curiously at Duan Ling Tian. "All of you will know soon." Duan Ling Tian shook his head with a smile and kept them guessing. It was at this moment that the Grand Rock that was plunging downwards startled the few disciples standing on guard at the gate to the 7-star sword sect. "What fierce beast is that?" "It doesn't seem like a fierce beast. It's like a demon beast. Look, there are people standing atop it." Isn't that the sect leader?" There's also Peak Master Zheng Fan, Peak Master Ku Zhen, and Senior Brother Duan Ling Tian. Under the reverent gazes of the 7-star sword sect disciples, the Grand Rock descended down within the stables at the side of the entrance to the sect. The empty space within the stables wasn't spacious in the first place. Now when the Grand Rock descended, it caused the stable to be even more cramped. The arrival of the Grand Rock startled the few 7-star sword sect disciples within the stables that were acting as horsekeepers. "What's that?" The few 7-star sword sect disciples walked over with curious expressions. Sect leader. A sharp-eyed 7-star sword sect disciples recognized Linghu Jinhong and exclaimed in surprise, his expression filled with respect. The remaining few people reacted to this and bowed with respect. Linghu Jinhong, the sect leader of the 7-star sword sect, usually didn't appear in public often. However, 1 year ago, because of the incident of the death of Peak Master Wu Dao, Linghu Jinhong had appeared at the peak of Dubhe Peak, and thus had also appeared before the eyes of the numerous disciples of the 7-star sword sect. The 7-star sword sect disciple that recognized Linghu Jinhong was at the scene that day. Senior Brother Duan Ling Tian. In next to no time, he also recognized Duan Ling Tian and bowed respectfully. Senior Brother Duan Ling Tian? Meanwhile, a pleasantly surprised voice sounded out from within the stables. Duan Ling Tian was able to notice a familiar figure walked out from within, and when the figure noticed him, the figure's face was filled with joy. "Senior Brother Duan Ling Tian, it's really you. MOU, long time no see." Duan Ling Tian nodded with a smile to the person that had arrived before him. The 7-star sword sect disciples before him, who was of similar age, was precisely the MOU that helped him take care of his Fergana horses. After MOU greeted Duan Ling Tian, he looked at the Grand Rock and for a time, and he couldn't help but be stunned on the spot. When had he seen such an enormous flying beast? He could imagine that once this flying beast were to spread its wings, it would simply be comparable to those clouds that covered the sky. It was extremely shocking. Meanwhile, Linghu Jinhong, who stood atop the Grand Peng's back, sized up MOU with interest as he asked, "Duan Ling Tian, he's the friend you wanted to see?" "You are." Mou looked at Linghu Jinhong with a face full of wonder, as he obviously didn't recognize Linghu Jinhong. Duan Ling Tian was just about to introduce him. Senior brother Mou, this is the sect leader. A 7-star sword sect disciple couldn't refrain from telling Mou in a low voice. Sect leader? Mou was stunned. Then he recovered from his short and said respectfully with a fearful expression, Mou greets the sect leader. Linghu Jinhong shook his head and smiled when he saw Mou's fearful appearance, and the gloominess on his face dispersed quite a bit. Duan Ling Tian's gaze had never left Mou. When his acute spiritual force extended out and combined with the lifetime worth of experience of the Rebirth Martial Emperor, he'd clearly sensed at the first possible moment that Mou's current cultivation was at the 6th level of the Origin Soul stage. Mou, you've broken through to the 6th level of the Origin Core stage. Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but be shocked. Isn't Mou's advancement too great? He remembered that when he left the 7-star sword sect 2 years ago to head to the Solitary Summit, Mou was only at the 1st level of the Origin Core stage at that time. 1 year ago, when he returned from the Solitary Summit, Mou had broken through to the 3rd level of the Origin Core stage, shocking him. Now, another year had passed, and Mou had actually directly broken through to the 6th level of the Origin Core stage. Mou rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment when he noticed Duan Ling Tian had discerned his cultivation. 6th level of the Origin Core stage? Duan Ling Tian's words attracted the attention of Linghu Jinhong, and for a time, he seriously sized Mou up. This 7-star sword sect disciple that looks to be of same age as Duan Ling Tian is a 6th level Origin Core stage martial artist? He remembered that Huang Ji, who'd betrayed him, and the 7-star sword sect was only at the 4th level of the Origin Core stage at the age of 22. In other words, this 7-star sword sect disciple's natural talent far surpassed Huang Ji. Another freak. Meng Qiu and Zheng Song glanced at each other, and both saw a similar meaning within each other's eyes. You're really at the 6th level of the Origin Core stage? Zheng Fan couldn't refrain from looking at Mou and asking. A 22-year-old 6th level Origin Core stage martial artist was something that even shocked him. Duan Ling Tian's level of abnormality that couldn't be looked upon with logic was only a minority after all. 6th level of the Origin Core stage at the age of 22. In terms of natural talent, it's able to be compared with 1 or 2 of the people in the 5 great young masters. Kujin stared at Mou with a burning gaze, as if he wanted to see through him. Mou, display your strength for the sect leader and peak masters to see. Duan Ling Tian was able to discern the doubt in Zheng Fan and Kujun's words, and he looked at Mou as he smiled encouragingly. Mou nodded. He'd always listened to anything Duan Ling Tian said. Instantly, swoosh, the energy of heaven and earth roiled above Mou, and 80 ancient mammoth silhouettes condensed into form, displaying Mou's cultivation. It really is the 6th level of the Origin Core stage. Zheng Fan was shocked. Such natural talent. Throughout the younger generation of the 7-star sword sect, I'm afraid it's only below Duan Ling Tian. Zheng Fan, you're wrong. Linghu Jinhong shook his head and said slowly, the Alcade Peaks master, Qin Xiang's personal disciple, Ku Er, and the Alcade Peaks elder Bai's personal disciple, Li Fei. The former's age is similar to Duan Ling Tian, and the latter's is elder to Duan Ling Tian by 2 years, and they're both already nascent soul stage martial artists. Linghu Jinhong's words caused Zheng Fan to be completely stunned. Kujun's pupils constricted and said in astonishment, I heard a long time ago that peak master Qin Xiang had taken a disciple with outstanding natural talent, but I never expected that her disciple would only be at the age of 22 and have already broken through to the nascent soul stage. Throughout the 7-star sword sect. No, even if it's throughout the Azure Forest Imperial Kingdom, such natural talent is only inferior to Duan Ling Tian. Meng Qiu and Zheng Song were slightly moved as well. They weren't unfamiliar to Duan Ling Tian, but they weren't familiar of those 2 female disciples. I never expected that the 2 of us would lose to 2 female disciples. Meng Qiu laughed bitterly. Zheng Fan nodded in deep agreement. Duan Ling Tian knew that Ko-er and Li Fei had broken through to the nascent soul stage before they departed to the demonic Lotus Blade sect 1 month ago. The natural talent of the two girls weren't inferior to him, and they even cultivated top cultivation methods that could be ranked in the top within Cloud Continent. So their cultivation advancing swiftly was nothing to be surprised about. What caused Duan Ling Tian to be surprised was MOU's cultivation. MOU? Why has your cultivation advanced so swiftly? MOU rubbed the back of his head embarrassedly, as he said in embarrassment. Senior brother Duan Ling Tian, didn't you give me 1 million silver before? I bought some origin strengthening pills, and after consuming them, my cultivating became even faster. Duan Ling Tian was instantly stunned when he heard MOU. You? Could it be that you didn't use origin strengthening pills to cultivate in the past? MOU's face dimmed. I was born from a lowly background. To me, medicinal pills and other items that assist in cultivating were extremely far away. Senior brother Duan Ling Tian, it's perhaps difficult for you to imagine, but when I was at the core formation stage, I had only consumed no more than 30 origin increasing pills. Later on, when I arrived at the 7-star sword sect, I found this work of taking care of horses and became a horse keeper. Although I had an extra salary, I was barely able to buy some origin strengthening pills. 1 year ago, the reason why I was able to break through to the 3rd level of the origin core stage was precisely because I consumed an origin strengthening pill. When he spoke up to here, MOU grinned. Now, my cultivation has broken through to the 6th level of the origin core stage, and I'm already able to go slightly deeper into the primeval forest to hunt some formidable fierce beasts. The beast cores, skin, fur, and scattered parts of those fierce beasts are sufficient to support the origin strengthening pills I need for cultivation now. An origin strengthening pill was a medicinal pill used by origin core stage martial artists when cultivation, and it was able to increase the speed of cultivating to a certain extent. An origin strengthening pill was only a basic medicinal pill to Duan Ling Tian, Linghu Jin Hong, and the others, and it was nothing worth mentioning. In their eyes, this type of medicinal pill was nothing. But, in the eyes of MOU, or perhaps in the eyes of MOU in the past, it was instead extremely valuable. Senior brother Duan Ling Tian, if it wasn't for the 1 million silver you gave me a year ago, it would have been impossible for me to break through to the 6th level of the origin core stage, and it would be impossible for me to provide for myself. MOU looked at Duan Ling Tian with a face full of gratitude. Meanwhile, a nearby 7-star sword sect disciple couldn't refrain from saying to Duan Ling Tian, Senior brother Duan Ling Tian, originally, Senior brother MOU was already at the 6th level of the origin core stage now, and entirely doesn't have to do this work of taking care of horses. But he still comes here every few days just for the sake of taking care of your and senior sister, Li Fei's Fergana horse. Duan Ling Tian was slightly moved. He never expected that the 1 million silver he casually gave MOU would actually help MOU so much, and he never expected even more than just because of this little favor. Although MOU had already become a little well off now, would still not forget to help him take care of his Fergana horse. MOU's character could be discerned from this. Duan Ling Tian lifted his hand and placed it onto MOU's shoulder before lightly patting MOU, then sighed. I never imagined that you had such a past. In this way, it would seem that your cultivation ought to have been encumbered and buried quite a bit. Otherwise, with your natural talent, your accomplishments would be even higher. Senior brother Duan Ling Tian, you're too kind. MOU rubbed his nose in embarrassment and had a modest expression. At this moment, everyone including Linghu Jin Hong were petrified. According to what this MOU said, he practically didn't consume any medicinal pills while cultivating to his current cultivation. If what he said is true, then once he's given similar terms as me, wouldn't he be able to break through to the 7th level of the origin core stage now, or even higher? Zheng Song recovered from his shock and had an astonished expression. As for Linghu Jin Hong, the other 2 higher-ups of the 7-star sword sect, and Meng Qiu, they all had similar thoughts. They never imagined that such a shiny piece of gold was actually buried within the 7-star sword sect. Duan Ling Tian, you asked Elder Peng to descend here precisely because you wanted me to see him, right? Linghu Jin Hong's gaze descended onto Duan Ling Tian with interest, and within this gaze was a trace of unnoticeable gratitude. Exactly. Duan Ling Tian nodded. Sect leader, what do you think? The scene before him caused Mou to be dumbstruck. Senior brother Duan Ling Tian made the sect leader come see me? See me for what? He was puzzled in his heart. Ling Hu Jin Hong took a slow breath, then looked at Duan Ling Tian and said sincerely, thank you. Even if it was a month before when Duan Ling Tian obtained the first in the martial competition of the 5 great sects in the demonic Lotus Blade sect, Ling Hu Jin Hong has only said thank you via voice transmission. Presently, he'd said thank you in front of so many people. A word of thanks coming straight from the mouth of the 7-star sword sect's leader could be considered to be as heavy as MT Tai. At this moment, Zhang Fan and Ke Zhun glanced at each other, and they couldn't help but be moved. Of course, they were able to feel the happiness contained in the sect leader's tone. It was sincere gratitude that came from the heart. Duan Ling Tian, what are you and the sect leader talking about? Meng Qiu had a dazed expression. Zheng Song had a curious expression as well, as he hadn't wrapped his head around what was happening. Slap. Ke Zhun raised his head and slapped Meng Qiu on the back of the head, then derided. Kid, you can't even make this out? Duan Ling Tian is choosing a personal disciple for the sect leader. This little fellow is really not bad. If everything he said before is true, then his natural talent is absolutely not inferior to any one of the 5 great young masters. Even if all that isn't true, his natural talent and character still far surpasses that Huang Ji. Zheng Fan nodded in deep agreement. Now, Meng Qiu and Zheng Song had finally completely understood. As for Mou, he'd been dumbstruck since a long time ago. Duan Ling Tian is choosing a personal disciple for the sect leader. Duan Ling Tian is choosing a personal disciple for the sect leader. Ke Zhang's words endlessly reverberated within his mind. Choosing a personal disciple for the sect leader? Could they be talking about me?
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.